2. East Hampton Town Board, we are good to go.
Thank you, LTV. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the East Hampton Town Board meeting of Thursday, May 7th, 2026. Michael, if you could please read the roll call.
Councilmember Flight.
Present.
Deputy Supervisor Lease.
Present.
Councilmember Rogers.
Present.
Councilmember Calder-Piedmont.
Present.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez.
Present. If we could all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So tonight we have 10 public hearings, and we will go through them one at a time. We ask you to kindly keep your comments to 3 minutes. We have a number of topics people have signed up for. We've got a lot of folks on the phone, so we ask you to please be respectful. If there's more information, and I know a lot of folks have already sent information to the clerk to disperse to the board members, and we have received that. That will be followed, all these public hearings will be followed by public portion, and then we will do our resolutions. So before we start, though, we have special guests here. We have Hugh King. Are you going to introduce everybody, Hugh?
Yes, I am, Madam Supervisor. Thank you for inviting all these people to hear me speak. But I'm not speaking. Tonight, I'm going to introduce the Executive Director of the East Hampton Historical Society, Stephen Long, and East Hampton High School senior, Colin Kelly, who will present a program about the American Revolution in East Hampton.
Beautiful. Thank you, Hugh. Welcome, Steve.
Thank you. Thank you all for having us here. I just want to start by saying I'm so proud to live in a community, a township that always has history front and center, providing historical perspective. So we're so honored to be here. All year, we're celebrating the semi-quincentennial, the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. And our town historian presented the idea to me, we should do a podcast every month. What was happening in East Hampton 250 years ago? And Colin Kelly volunteered not only to do that research, to write the 3-minute episodes, he also is narrating them. So you can listen to them on wherever you get your podcasts, also on the Historical Society's website. And for this evening, we wanted to have him, so you don't have to tune in, you can listen to it right now, what was happening 250 years ago this month in East Hampton. Colin,
Great.
Take it away.
Thank you, Steve. Welcome.
Thank you. By May 1776, the war affected nearly every aspect of life in East Hampton. The town faced the possibility of a British attack from the sea and became more engaged in the political changes unfolding across New York State. At the same time, internal tensions increased as local authorities attempted to identify individuals suspected of loyalty to the UK. East Hampton's growing involvement in revolutionary political affairs is reflected in the selection of delegates for the Revolutionary Congress in New York. In May 1776, Thomas Wickham of East Hampton was appointed as one of 6 representatives from Suffolk County. This appointment demonstrates that East Hampton residents were taking an active role in forming a new political system to replace British authority. Local leaders, including Wickham, contributed to decisions that shaped the colony's future as it moved towards independence. At the same time, the threat of attack remained a significant concern for the town. British ships had been observed in nearby waters earlier in the spring, causing residents to fear a possible landing by soldiers. On May 22nd, the trustees of East Hampton allocated 40 shillings to Abraham Conklin to support the relocation of 2 of his children to New Jersey. This decision highlights the seriousness of the perceived threat. Although sending children away was a drastic measure, some families viewed it as the most effective way to ensure their safety if hostilities reached the town. In addition to external threats, local leaders addressed internal concerns within the town. On May 4th, the New York Committee of Safety instructed local committees throughout Suffolk County to disarm individuals considered disaffected, meaning they were suspected of supporting the British government. Confiscated weapons were to be delivered to Colonel H.B. Livingston, and this directive required East Hampton to monitor and police its own residents. Abraham Gardner, who lived in the house that serves as LVIS headquarters today, was among those affected by this policy. Accused of being loyal to Britain, Gardner was disarmed in May 1776. His case demonstrates how the Revolution fostered divisions and suspicion within previously close-knit communities. The events of May reveal another aspect of East Hampton's wartime experience. Beyond fears of invasion and participation in revolutionary politics, the town faced the challenge of maintaining unity while identifying individuals with uncertain loyalties. By the end of May 1776, these ongoing challenges had already begun to reshape daily life in East Hampton. Families persevered under the threat of violence, while town officials managed governance and uncertain loyalties. In the following months, the community would face additional tests of resilience as the revolution intensified, both external dangers and internal divisions. Thank you.
Colin, can I put you on this? Colin, can I put you on the spot? I mean, how has this experience been? I know you're working now with the East Hampton Historical Society. You're working with Hugh King, our town historian. How have you found the experience?
Found it really eye-opening. In our history class at school, we always learned, we learned about the revolution, but was never really localized. Never had a real focus on our community. So this has really changed my perspective and kind of opened my eyes to the actual happenings here and not just, in our nation.
Beautiful. And good luck at William and Mary in the fall. All right, Hugh, did you want to add anything, or Steve?
The town crier will be back next month. Did I tell you about Dayton's Ruse?
No.
Okay, that's the next one, the next meeting. We're out of here.
All right.
We're history.
Right.
Thank you, Colin.
All right, Michael, if you could please read the first meeting notice.
The public hearing will be held live and in person and by the town board and will be available electronically by video and teleconferencing and will be televised on local TV, channel 22, and available for live stream on the LTV website, ltveh.org. The public shall be permitted to appear in person, but may also provide comments on the matter being heard by calling 351-888-6331. Any person or party wishing to be heard with respect to the foregoing may do so in person or by agent or by attorney or by written comment addressed to the East Hampton Town Clerk, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, 11937. Comments may also be submitted to the town clerk by email to mhanson@ehamptonny.gov. All comments must be received by the town clerk by the date and time of the public hearing. Please check the meeting agenda posted on the town's website, ehamptonny.gov, for any changes and for updated information. Notice of public hearing. Please take notice that the town board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon after as this matter can be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled "A Local Law Providing for the Amendment of Chapter 211, Public Safety and Accountability."
Thank you, Michael. So we have a number of people signed up. I'm going to go through the list, then I'm going to go to the callers, and then I'll come back to the room to see a show of hands of who else wants to speak on this public hearing. So the first up is Katie Casey. Welcome, Katie.
Katie Casey, Freetown. I'd like to read an excerpt of a poem, Mother Country by Richard Blanco. To love a country as if you've lost one, as if it were you on a plane departing from America forever, clouds closing like curtains on your country, the last scene in which you're a madman scribbling the names of your favorite flowers, trees, and birds you'd never see again. Your address and phone number you'd never use again. The color of your father's eyes, your mother's hair, terrified you could forget these. To love a country as if I was my mother last spring, hobbling, insisting I help her climb all the way up the U.S. Capitol stairs, as if she were here before you today instead of me, explaining her tears. Cheeks pink as the cherry blossoms, coloring the air that day when she stopped, turned to me and said, "You know, mijo, it isn't where you're born that matters. It's where you choose to die. That's your country." I support the change to the legislation. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Allison Felonius. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you, Supervisor Burke-Gonzalez. For the record, my name is Allison Felenius, and I am back again this evening to speak on the matter that most of us are here for. But first off, I'd really like to say thank you to each and every one of you on this board, and also to you, Jake Turner, for really putting forth this effort to get this law to the stage that we're at, to be able to put it to public hearing. I'd also like to commend Minerva Perez and former Assemblyman Fred Thiel for championing this effort on behalf of our community. I am in strong favor of this board passing and enacting this law, but I'm also really incredibly proud of our town and to live in a town where this is potentially taking place and that this will be passed. Passage of this law is not only the right thing to do, in my opinion, but also shows what happens when we all stand together and work together as a community. So again, thank you all so very much for putting this forth, and everyone else who's spoken out and shared it. And I really am supportive and hope you all pass it. Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. Susan Redsky.
Thank you. My name is Susan Redsky, and I'd like to also say that I wholeheartedly approve of this new law, and also to thank all of you, just like Allison said. It just was a great cooperation between the town board, town attorney, and the police department, because the buy-in by the police department is very important in the way this law comes about. And while I promise not to say wahoo every time I'm in this room and you do something I like, this is a wahoo law. And this law needs to be passed, and I'm very grateful. I won't repeat everything Allison said, but I totally agree with her. Thank you. I'm very proud to be here today to say this to you.
Thank you, Susan. Mary Bromley. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. I think Allison has already said it all, as has Katie. My name is Mary Bromley. I'm a psychotherapist. I've been practicing here for almost 40 years. I was one of the original founders of the retreat. In fact, I think the last time I spoke at a meeting like this was to get Tony Bullock to help us with funding. I love this town. I'm so proud that we are speaking out against a private army that is not part of the police department. I also work for the police department, offering trauma counseling and wellness checks for the village police. And I'll tell you, they are the police, not ICE. And they are, for the most part, very, very behind this law. And I, again, like everybody else said, it's a very emotional issue. And I don't think anybody has ever seen Perez. What's her first name? Minerva. No one has ever seen her cry. But but we're all crying in great emotional gratitude that this is our town, and this is our town standing up for something so important. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay.
Catherine Binks. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And mine's short and sweet and kind of ditto to Allison. I just want to say that as a resident, I support the passage of this law. So really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Sarah Conway. Welcome, Sarah.
Hello, and I'm here, same thing. I'm a resident, and I just want to say that I absolutely support passing this law, and I thank everyone who brought it to this place, and thank you for passing it.
Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so that's everyone that signed up. I know there's a lot of callers, and then we're going to come to the room, okay? Jason, do you want to put the first caller through?
Yes, I'm putting the first caller through right now. And let me see if I can get them on the line. Okay. Caller ending 2584. Are you calling in for this public hearing?
I am, yes.
Okay, give me a second, and you are live and on the air.
Thank you. I'm reading a statement on behalf of Jefferson Amado. I have lived and worked in East Hampton for the past 18 years. This is where my mom, my dad, and I built our home. I came here when I was 14 years old. This community welcomed me. It made me feel like I belonged, like I could have a fresh start, a better future. Back then, my mom was fighting cancer. It was a very hard time for our family. My dad did everything he could to keep us going. He worked 2, sometimes 3 jobs just to make sure we had what we needed and that my mom could get the care she needed. I can't even imagine what our lives would have been like if, on top of all of that, we had to live with the fear that my dad could be taken while going to work or that my mom could be taken while waiting for one of her doctor's appointments. That kind of fear would have destroyed us. And now I worry about that same fear becoming real today. I work in a restaurant, and I think about what could happen if things get out of control one day, if unsafe conditions happen nearby and we get caught in the middle. So one should have to live or work in that kind of uncertainty. That's why I support the local safety and accountability law, because we need something that guarantees peace, safety, and good order in our community. We need to know that the place we call home will remain safe for everyone, for families, for workers, for young people trying to build a future. We all deserve a safe place in our homes, at work, and in our daily lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jason, if you could please put the next caller through.
Caller 0798, you're on the air.
Hi, I'm calling in for the acquisition of 549550. Do you want me to wait or speak now?
I prefer that you wait, and we'll get to you at that point. You have been marked, and we'll make sure that everything is taken care of and noted. Thank you. Caller ending 8002, you're on the air. Do you want to speak on this public hearing?
Not for this one, but different one. Thank you.
Which public hearing would you like to speak to? Hello, 8002. Which public hearing are you here for?
The Wayne Scott property redevelopment.
Wayne Scott property, so that would be number 4. Copy that. Thank you.
Okay, next caller 2415.
Let's see. I'm just going to go and... Okay, caller ending 0724, you're on the air. Would you like to speak to this public hearing?
Yes, my name is Lorraine Bonaventura. I fully support the law that is being passed, and I do applaud the town, but I am also calling in about Resolution 2026580, item number 6 in the list.
Okay, copy that. We will circle back to you when we are at item 6.
Great, thank you.
Hello, caller ending 0131. You are on the air. You want to speak to this public hearing?
Yes, please. Thank you. Hi, my name's Chris Ajemian. I'm an East Hampton Town resident. I just want to applaud the town. I'm enthusiastically in support of this law. I think it's great that there's kind of level-headedness and practicality being applied to the town safety law. I just want to enthusiastically support, and also really grateful to town leadership and the various civil society actors that made this possible. My only note would be, there is one note in the, I believe it's the definition section of the law regarding databases that says databases of the town being owned for what's applied under the law. I think there's a lot of databases that are probably being used by the town for public safety. Maybe operated might be better usage of the terminology, just to ensure that the scope is adequate. Again, not a material issue at the end of the day. I'm very enthusiastic of this law and very happy to be a resident. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, caller ending 5318. You're on the air. Do you want to speak to this public comment, to this public hearing?
Yes, I do. Yes, my name is Karen Sanchez, and I work for OLA of Eastern Long Island. I've been a resident of this community for 29 years, but I'm also an immigrant who chooses to call the East End my home. And as an immigrant, and speaking for many immigrants, we want to feel safe calling the police and not afraid of them. We want to be a part of this community and not feel invisible within it. And this law not only strengthens the relationship between residents and the local law enforcement, it protects the constitutional rights and it reinforces what makes this town strong. Right now, many immigrant families in our community are living with uncertainty and fear, not because they've done something wrong, but because of the lack of transparency around enforcement actions. And when people are afraid, sorry, I'm walking my dogs. When people are afraid, they stop reporting crimes and they avoid what are normally safe spaces such as schools, hospitals, and other public services. And that doesn't make us safer, it makes us all more vulnerable. The public safety and accountability law is about restoring trust. And our town has both the right and duty to protect the safety, peace, and trust of everyone who lives here. Passing this law sends a message that public safety includes everyone, that transparency matters, and that this town stands for both order and justice. I urge you to help pass this law, not just for immigrants, but for the safety and well-being of the entire community. And I really do applaud the town for everything that it's done up to this point. It really does make me proud to be a part of this town and this community.
Thank you, Karen.
Hello, caller ending 2415. You are on the air.
Thank you. My name is Alma Tova. I am a community advocate for all of Eastern Long Island. Part of my role is accompanying and advocating for some of the most vulnerable members of our community. People with terminal illnesses, cancer patients, children with incurable diseases, individuals with special needs, families who depend on constant medical care and treatments to survive. Today, I'm calling to say that I strongly support all that's public safety local law. This issue is very personal to me because I see every day how fear is affecting families in our community. I have seen people miss crucial medical appointments because they are afraid to leave their homes due to rumors of ICE activity or because ICE is in the streets. These are not people avoiding responsibilities. These are people that, or parents that are trying to survive and protect their children as well. I want to share a story of one little girl who has been our client almost since the day that she was born. She is an American citizen, but her parents are undocumented. She suffers from a degenerative and incurable disease. Her life depends on receiving treatment similar to a chemotherapy every 2 weeks, followed by constant lab work and multiple specialist appointments. Without this treatment, she cannot survive because of the fear of being separated from their daughter. This family has been forced to request home treatments and reduce some of her laboratory visits because they cannot risk being stopped, detained, or separated while trying to keep their child alive. The heartbreaking reality is that the treatment this little girl needs to survive does not exist in Latin America. Her parents are not making a choice between comfort and inconvenience. They are making a decision out of fear while trying to keep their daughter alive. This is why this law matters. When families are too afraid to seek medical care, public safety is affected. When parents fear taking their sick child to the hospital, our community is failing them. This law is about transparency, accountability, and protecting the dignity and safety of all residents while still respecting federal law. I ask you today to support this law and stand with the families in our community who deserve to live without the constant fear. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alma.
All right, caller ending 8480, you're on the air. Do you want to speak to this public hearing? One more time, caller ending 8480, you're on the air. Do you want to speak to this public hearing?
8454.
Okay, and caller ending 8454, you are on the air. Do you want to speak to this public hearing? All right, and
3574.
hello, caller 3574, you are on the air. Do you want to speak to this public hearing?
Yes, thank you.
Oh,
hello, everyone. My name is Trisha Martinez. I work for OLA of Eastern Long Island, and I'll be reading a statement written by a East Hampton town resident. Hello, my name is Juan Tercero. I'm a plumber, and I work in East Hampton. I am here to support the public safety and accountability law. I support this law because in these times it is so difficult. I'm here because I'm scared. I have a daughter and a wife, and I worry about what's happening right now. As Latinos, just as people, I feel like our rights are not always being respected. We're seeing people wearing masks, taking others in unmarked cars. That creates a lot of fear. I go to work every day worried that because of how I look or the language that I speak, I could be taken and my family wouldn't know where I am or what happened to me. I want to be certain that my daughter is safe when she goes to school, that my wife is safe when she goes to a medical appointment, that I am safe even doing simple things like going to court to pay a parking ticket without fear of being taken or treated like the worst criminal just because of my background. No one should have to live like that. I just want to work, take care of my family, and live with dignity. That's why it's important for me to know that authorities will do everything they can to protect our rights and treat everyone equally. I ask you to take my words and the words of many others like me into consideration. We need certainty, we need protection, we need to trust that we won't be ignored or become just another number or a news story. Thank you.
Thank you, Tricia.
Caller ending 2341, you are on the air.
Oh, hi, this is Bryony Frage. I am a resident of East Hampton. I am a Spanish-speaking social worker, and as a result, I work with many hardworking immigrant families in our town. And the level of anxiety and stress that our immigrant neighbors face has only intensified in recent years. And I just wanted to express my wholehearted support for the law and applaud Minerva and Fred Thiel and everyone else who worked so hard to craft this legislation. In anticipation of the town passing this, I want to commend you for having the guts to do this and to bring this, to a public hearing and hearing from everyone. I just am really proud to be an East Hampton resident today, so thank you. And please keep me on for the Wayne Scott public hearing as well.
All right.
Thank you, Bryony.
Copy that. That'll be number 4, so we'll go back to you then. And caller ending 4457, you are on the air. Hello.
Yeah, hello. Good evening. I'm Sebastian Stein, and I'm a resident of East Hampton.
Most importantly, I would like to thank the members of the town board for your time tonight and for seriously considering this law. We're one East End community, and I believe we all share the same goal, a community where children feel safe walking to school and where schools, hospitals, and other institutions can really focus on their mission and not have to worry about fear. I think that the only way to move forward is through action, like clear roles, coordinated emergency planning, and accountability that can only be provided by local law. And the law being proposed provides exactly that. And thanks to your efforts here, I'm sure that we will have a much safer future for our community. So thank you.
Thank you, Sebastian.
Caller ending 7006, you're on the air.
Hi, yes, this is Elise McKenna, an East Hampton resident, and I'm calling about the Wainscott land acquisition proposal.
All right, copy that. Thank you very much. Moving on.
7768.
Hello, caller ending 7768, you're on the air.
Hi there. Hello, my name is Rebecca Dolber, and I'm a board member at OLA. While I'm not a resident of East Hampton, I've been coming to East Hampton since I was a child. I eat in your restaurants, I shop in your stores, and I bring friends and family out there when they come to visit me. I'm calling today to advocate for the adoption of the Public Safety and Accountability Law. As you know, the law focuses on what towns and villages can do to create effective emergency responses that better support our communities during ICE raids. I want to tell you that I have family in Minnesota, specifically in the Twin Cities, and I've seen firsthand what happens when there's no plan in place to deal with these random federal raids by ICE agents. Kids don't attend school, roads become less safe, people become afraid to leave their homes, and our shared trust in the public safety is broken. I'm calling today, taking time out of my day. I'm not going to my kids' soccer game to ask you to please read this proposed law from OLA and consider its adoption by and for the town of East Hampton. Please be a leader on the east end of Long Island, because I believe if you do, other towns and villages will follow. Thank you.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Okay, caller ending 8662, you are on the air.
Hi, this is Anna Skrenta from Amagansett. I'm going to keep it brief. Excuse my dog in the background. I want to express my wholehearted and enthusiastic support for this law, and I would also like to speak at public hearing number 4. Thank you.
Hearing number 4, copy that. Thank you. Okay, caller ending 8480, you are on the air. Hello. Okay, 1 second. Okay, caller ending 8454, you're on the air. Hello. Okay, no response there.
We've run through our list.
Okay, so here's where we are. We have currently ran through the list of people who have called in. I would kindly ask anyone who has spoken and does not want to speak to this topic anymore to hop off the phone line unless you are here for another public meeting. It would make the process of unmuting people and finding them a lot easier for us. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jason. Okay, back to the room. Who would like to? Minerva, you want to go first?
I think it's Lainey.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Nice to see you all. My name is Minerva Perez. I'm really happy to be here with Ola of Eastern Long Island, and it might be the new thing. I don't know if I'm going to stop crying these days because the hard stuff, I could take it. The beautiful stuff just breaks me, but for all the right reasons. So I just want to thank you. Yeah. I know. Anyway, I really am so proud to be part of this town in the ways that Ola has been now for almost 24 years. So I want to thank the board. I want to thank the town attorney, the police. The police input is extremely important. This is not a unilateral thing. This is a conversation, and it should be a deep and important one, and it has been. And you have honored that with the way that you've been working and learning about what's important. Also, the Latino Advisory Committee. What a great group of people. How lucky we are as a town to have these people on board and to be able to work with this town board and with Kathy. I want to thank also the OLA team. They have put in so much effort, and many of them are not necessarily people that speak publicly all the time, but they have just risen to the occasion. Also, our supporters, our town board, community members that just sort of understand that you don't have to be an immigrant or an undocumented recent immigrant to know that public safety matters, and that all of us together make this place as beautiful as it is, and prosperous and safe. I am just incredibly happy to get this far, and I will not make any assumptions about what happens next except to say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, and I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Minerva. Jenny?
And we have 2 new callers that just hopped on while Minerva was
All right,
talking.
we're gonna go through the room, Jason, and then we'll come back to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Welcome, Jenny.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alejandra Dubove. I've lived in East Hampton since 1998. I immigrated to this country 60 years ago. I never thought I'd live in a time period where I never leave my house without my passport. I never thought I'd live in my beautiful town where I'm at the gym. I'm looking at exits in case an ICE agent shows up, because the Y tends to be incredibly diverse. I never thought that we escaped Argentina because of fascism, and now we're living in this sort of awful situation. So I want to say to each and every one of you, thank you so much for everything that you're doing. It's so important. I taught school for 35 years. I can't even imagine what those kids go through in the morning, the stress, the fear of coming home and their parents being kidnapped. So thank you so much. Really, I deeply appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lena? Welcome, Lena.
Thank you so much. I'm Lena Tabori. I've been here for 50 plus years in this town. This is my country. I came here when I was 3 years old. I'm an immigrant myself. I lost a grandfather in Auschwitz. I know World War history incredibly, World War II history incredibly well. I'm terrified by our current world, the one that we're living in at the moment. I'm awed by your courage in regard to this legislation. I'm incredibly proud of you for doing what you're doing. I don't want to live in this country where people are afraid. It shouldn't have anything to do with the color of anybody's skin. I don't want to live in a country where it's hard to vote because of the color of your skin. I don't want to live in that country. And I think the only way for us to live in the country that we want to live in, to have the country that we love back, is for us to take every conceivable action, individual and municipal, to stop it. So I appreciate, and I'm in awe, actual awe of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lena. Would anyone else like to? Please.
You just got to bring the microphone down.
Good evening, Madam Supervisor and town members. My name is Yesenia Kachimbo, and I am here tonight to speak in support of OLA's safety and accountability law. It goes without saying that that is the result of really hard work on behalf of Minerva Perez, thank you, Minerva, and Fred Thiel. And the fact that we're here today having a public hearing about it is a clear reflection of what this town is. We come together to protect one another, and that is what makes East Hampton beautiful and strong. That's why we're here. My parents arrived in Montauk in the early 90s, and I still remember clear as day the squeal of seeing the ocean as we drove into Montauk for the first time. I was 10 years old. I have called the East End my home ever since, and I am proud to call it my home today. Again, to echo the words of everyone else, this is a law that is going to make a difference, that makes a difference for our entire community. It cements the trust that we so much have come accustomed, the safety part of being in East Hampton. Nowhere else in the world could you be as safe as you are in East Hampton and have the peace of mind that the children can run around free, that your doors can be unlocked. This is a special place, and this law would keep things that way, and it would cement that trust that we so much need. Thank you.
Thank you, Yesenia.
Is there anyone else?
Gloria. Welcome, Gloria.
Thank you. Good evening, Gloria Frazee, resident of East Hampton. I am so sad that we have to have this discussion. It breaks my heart. We are all immigrants. And I like to think that we are a community, we are neighbors, we all join together in this. I see signs of hope here in East Hampton with this law. Thank you, Minerva, for leading the charge. Thank you, everyone, for pulling together. And thank you for not just sitting with this law, Madam Supervisor, but moving forward with the other actions that we need to take with the Latino Council, with other ideas that you have and are implementing. Thank you all.
Thank you, Gloria.
Anyone else like, please? Welcome.
Oh, God. Hope that's not my phone. Hi, thank you. My name is Elena Krotman. I am an East Hampton town resident. And I want to address the East Hampton town leadership. Thank you for the opportunity to be heard. I ask that you consider adopting this resolution for the safety and the humanity of our East End community. We're fortunate to live in a peaceful environment where we have all worked and lived respectfully until recently. And we must not erode the hard-earned trust our communities have developed with our law enforcement agencies. We owe it to our neighbors. We owe it to those who've come before us and who will come after us. I'm also a child of immigrants, and it is a really difficult time that we're living in. I echo a lot of the same feelings people before me have spoken about. I carry my passport also, always thinking I'm going to get pulled over just because of the color of my skin, you know. So thank you. And I'm on the board of OLA as well. I don't know if I need to say that or not. So thank you.
And I love your sweater.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Okay, we're going to go back to the phones. Jason?
Okay. Caller 6550, you are on the air.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Catherine Mitchell. I'm an East Hampton town resident. I'm also a Spanish-speaking social worker. I have, for the last 25 plus years, served the Latino community on the East End. And, you know, I'm just so moved and proud not only to be a resident of East Hampton, but also to be someone who works in the community, that I live in a town where, you know, the community organizations and the town government work together to support everyone in the community and to make them feel safe. It's a really beautiful moment, and I fully support the proposed law, and I hope that it's passed, because it's going to do so much good for people who are really having a tough time right now, as I think anyone who is watching the suffering of others that's been going on is as well. So thank you so much for everything that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Catherine.
Okay, caller 6925, you are on the air. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, everyone. My name is Pilar Moya Mencera.
I am the executive director of a tiny but mighty housing counseling agency called Housing Help. We opened an office to serve the East End community at 30 West Main Street in Riverhead. We've been serving this beautiful East End community for a little over 4 years. One of the programs that we have more clients here on the East End is called the Family Support Project Program, where we work with parents that have children in the school district, parents that are experiencing housing instability. And the goal of the program is to provide services and assistance to these parents so there is no disruption in the education of these children. It breaks my heart to tell you that in the past years, our clients are just not coming to the office. They are afraid to come to the office. Unfortunately, since we are a HUD certified agency, we have to follow certain HUD guidelines. And one of those guidelines is that we cannot do visits, home visits. And it just breaks my heart when we're working with families that are just not able to come to the office because they are so afraid. Families that need food, and we have food carts for them, but they cannot pick it up. Families that we can assist with rental assistance, but they cannot come in to sign the paperwork. And it breaks my heart when I hear the stories of the children who are just so afraid. Some kids are afraid to go to school. Some kids are afraid of what's going to happen when they come home from school if the parents are going to be there. We had the case of a family where the kids went to school, came back, got off the bus, went to the babysitter's home, and the mother, a single mom, was actually taken by ICE that day. We got a call from the babysitter because she didn't know what to do. To each and every town board member, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for even allowing this public hearing. I'm grateful for Ola and Fred Thiel for bringing this legislation. And I really, from the bottom of my heart, I've been a public servant for decades. From the bottom of my heart, please help us help these children so that they can continue their education. And hopefully this chaos and this crisis doesn't affect their mental well-being. Thank you.
Thank you, Pilar. Jason, are there other callers?
All other callers on the line have spoken and/or are for other public hearings.
Okay. One more time in the room. Would anyone else like to speak?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Folks, I plan to bring the resolution to adopt this local law forward on Tuesday. You're right, Minerva, it's more emotional than you would expect it to be. Okay, Michael, if you can make a motion.
Yeah. Madam Supervisor, I'd like to make a motion to combine public hearings number 2 and 3.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Michael, if you could read both to the record.
Notice of public hearing. Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. in the Town Board Meeting Room, Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, or as soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard on a proposed local law providing for the adoption of a revised community preservation project plan pursuant to Section 64-E of the New York Town Law, which provides for the preservation of open space, historic places, and the recreational areas within the town of East Hampton, including the incorporated villages therein, to include approximately 4.14 acres of land located at 134 Second House Road, Montauk, reputedly owned by Double AL Holdings Corp., and identified on Suffolk County Tax Map as 300-27-4-30. Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing in the town board meeting room, East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, pursuant to section 247 of the general municipal law and section 64-E, subsection 8 of the town law of the state of New York on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, that this matter may be heard to consider the following. A, the town's acquisition for the preservation of open space, recreation, and improvement of water quality with community preservation funds of a property located at 134 Second House Road, Montauk, reputedly owned by AAL Holdings Corp. And consisting of approximately 4.14 acres of developed land at a cost to the town of East Hampton not to exceed $7,250,000 plus reasonable survey, title, prorated tax, and recording charges, said property being described on the Suffolk County tax map as 300-27-4-30, and B, an amendment to the 2026 SPF management and stewardship plan to include said property.
Thank you, Michael. Scott, if you could please introduce the property.
Sure, I'd be glad to. Note the aerial on your screen. The property we're talking about is outlined in blue. You might also note the two parcels that bracketed in green that the town has already preserved. So this is a unique parcel on Fort Pond in Montauk, and for the last 30+ years, most of you will know this as Pathfinder Day Camp. I have walked this property a couple of times with current and past town board members, and the parcel is a bit magical. Although we have been attempting to preserve this property for years, recent sales material was a bit jarring, showing a superimposed 10,000 square foot house plonked on top of a traditional playground. Acquisition of this property for recreation is a rare opportunity to preserve a legacy of children laughing, playing, and growing in our town. This parcel meets the criteria set forth in Town Law 64E. I would recommend the board pass a resolution to acquire this property.
Thank you, Scott.
Magical property.
Magical property. So no one is signed up. Is there anyone in the room that would like to? Elon? Welcome.
Hi, I'm here to speak on, I'm not speaking about this matter. I'm going to speak about at the next hearing, but
Okay.
for this, just want to point out, you're using $7
First,
million.
state your name for the clerk.
Alon Rosenthal.
Thank you.
I'm here for the number 4 matter, but if you're going to be spending $7.25 million on a camp that's going to stay a camp, I don't see why you wouldn't want to spend it on the aquifer where it's supposed to be spent to protect our drinking water. You should be referring that project to community preservation funds. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Anyone else in the room like to address this matter? Jason, is there anyone on the line for this public hearing?
We have to just double check with one person, and then
Sure.
after that, we just have to go through our quick list.
Okay.
0798, was this the property you talked about for acquisition, or was it the Wayne Scott number 4?
Wayne Scott number 4, please.
Copy that. Thank you. Thank you. One quick second. Okay.
This matter can be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Pentago Road, East Hampton, New York, to hear any and all persons either for or against a proposed acquisition of approximately 13.5 acres of residential property located at 549 and 550 Wayne Scott Northwest Road, East Hampton, for possible housing purposes, utilizing the town's community housing funds for such acquisition at a cost to the town of $3,975,000 plus title survey and other related and customary costs. A negative determination has been made by the town board for the acquisition of the subject property only. Any future proposed development, involvement, or use of the property which may be developed for the property shall be subject to the full and complete review, including independent and full review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act.
Thank you, Michael. So we have a number of people signed up. We'll do the folks that signed up, then we're going to go to the phones, and then we'll come back to the room. So first up is Katie Casey.
Do you want me to introduce it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
You
I
were so
jumped the
quiet.
gun. Scott, if you could
That's okay.
introduce it.
That's okay. So on your screen, you'll see two pieces outlined in blue. The small one, 549, and the one quite large one is 550. This is a relatively flat 13.5 acre property. It is a rare vacant parcel in our town. There were actually competing bidders for these lots. And explaining to the seller that the town's contract was subject to public hearing, clear title, and survey without encroachment, and that our goal was to close in approximately 90 days if those criteria were met, the seller chose to sign a contract with the town as a more expeditious path to closing. Future consideration for 550's use is for housing purposes. Its size allows for significant flexibility and buffering from adjoining lots. While at this time there is no housing plan, if the board pursues development in the future, the property would require a change in zone and secret based on whatever the housing plan is at the time. This will require additional public hearings with input from the public. For now, the initial goal is to acquire this rare parcel while it's still available.
Thank you, Scott. Okay, Katie Casey. Welcome back, Katie.
So my other hat is Katie Casey, Executive Director of the East Hampton Housing Authority. I'm here to speak in favor of the acquisition of 549 and 550 Wainscott Northwest Road. This parcel is quite unusual to have a large contiguous parcel like this. The price is extremely fair, and I am a big supporter of land banking. The whole point behind, well, not the whole point, but a big component, argument for the Community Housing Fund was to enable the town to be a little bit more nimble, because in the past, parcels were lost because the funds weren't immediately available, you had to bond. We still have the public process, we still have the hearing. It still is a transparent, open, public process, but with the resources of the Community Housing Fund, the town, it makes it a reality. And I just want to share, you know, the Housing Authority has benefited from the Community Housing Fund, voted in by referendum by a supermajority in 22, implemented in April of 23. And if I may, I know it's not nice to count other people's money, but to date, East Hampton has realized $25,187,473.42. That's in about 3 years. By comparison, the CPF has brought in, I believe this is a current number, $46,911,433.98. So the Housing Authority has received $1.5 million in development activities, engineering, design, environmentals, SHPO, DEC, all of that for the 114 project. $500,000 to acquire the cottages on 114. That was an existing 9-unit low-income property. $1.5 million to acquire 109 Hampton Street, which is a 4-unit just inside the boundary of Sag Harbor. And I think this might be the first foray into the village of Sag Harbor, where housing is also sorely needed. And the town has, although it's not quite finalized, we have been awarded $3.171 million from Empire State Development. The town is working on matching those funds with the Community Housing Fund. In total, that would be $6.671 million for housing since 2023. That is remarkable. This is an excellent acquisition. I wholeheartedly support it. Let's get the property, and then we'll take a break, take a breath, decide what's best for the community to meet housing needs at that location. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Elon? Yeah.
Forgive me if I wing things a little. It's all for you guys to review.
Thank you.
Sure you saw it. There's a map there, a summary of laws and compliance checklists to make sure they're being followed.
Thank you. And the clerk needs a copy. So it goes in the record.
This was all mailed and sent.
So it goes in the record.
Yeah. By the way, I didn't get a copy of the contract.
Okay, you need to, you be on the microphone so people at home can hear you.
Hello.
And he hasn't stated his name.
Yes. Oh, I didn't start yet. We got to restart. Let me know when it's restarted.
It's restarted.
It's restarted.
Great. Thank you so much. Hi, Town Board. My name is Alon Rosenthal. I know many of you had heard from me already. Sorry, I'm so, worked up about this. I know you guys have all said you wanted to follow the law, and I appreciate that, and I thank you. I thank you for everything you did with that last law that we heard a lot about. It was very interesting to hear you speak about advocating for this land. This is an illegal purchase that does not follow the law, okay? I'm a neighbor who loves this town and wanted to live here and finish renovating a beautiful house. Instead, I was given charges by you guys for the aquifer there was some water recharge overlay district, and I was held accountable to plant bushes and trees there and told how important the aquifer was to our environment. That's why I got upset that you're buying a camp when you should be protecting our aquifer and our land. And this is land next to my home that directly abuts me. I'm sorry for getting worked up about this, but for like 3 years, all I hear about is the aquifer. You guys maybe get a variance. I had to do secret just to get a variance to keep my house the way it was. Now here you are saying you get charges, but we should just develop this land to do whatever we want. And that's not how this should work. This is a map right here from your preservation plan that shows a house on the street that was supposed to be preserved. This is a copy of your preservation plan that talks about the aquifer. Here is a million other plans. Here's your comprehensive plan. Here's your community housing fund plan. Here's the comprehensive plan, excuse me. I tabbed all of them. I'll give them to the clerk also when I leave. You should read everywhere where it says how preserving water aquifer recharge land is a priority. And the state law, what I provided to you guys, that I handed to you, I want you to see that map because the one house is not available. What I provided to you guys in this handy compliance schedule is 24 laws that you guys are breaking by buying this land. That housing fund requires you to follow the town's adopted plans. It requires housing that's in a proper area, near infrastructure, near public transportation, with sewer systems, with schools that are good. That's not just nice policy planning, that's a law. You should have talked about how affordable housing needs to be in the right places and not in the wrong places. I'm an owner myself of affordable housing. I'm a supporter of affordable housing. I think it needs to be in this town, but it needs to be in the right place, especially when you have limited housing funds. You're gonna waste them on a plan that you don't have, that's land banking, and you're gonna tell all the residents that they have to follow these enforcement rules and make me get SECRA for a variance that doesn't change my land to not get SECRA. Something is off here. This is going through like a back door to avoid SECRA approval, and then you're gonna violate 23 different laws about how the housing needs to be made. It needs to be for actual housing, not for land banking. It needs to, you guys are breaking the law. It's gonna be reviewed. You should stop buying land that's litigated, and you should follow your own standards of how you need to conduct yourselves, just like you make the residents do. This is not an appropriate purchase. It's against the law.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's going to be publicized too if it happens. So get ready for the election. There you go.
Peter, I can't read your last name. I don't know if it.
He's my lawyer husband.
Welcome, Peter.
Hi. My name is Peter Figman. My husband is Alon Rosenthal, who has spoken already and made it very clear that what you are intending to do is not only improper, but conflicts with state law. I have watched you force him to strictly comply with all guidelines regarding planting of trees and bushes in the Water Recharge Overlay District, which we have happily complied with. although it costs us an exorbitant amount of money. It is quite concerning to now watch you turn around and not hold yourselves to the same standard and attempt this project. I'm a lawyer, and I want to let you know that we, along with our neighbors who are sitting behind me, and some of them aren't even sitting here, intend to protect our rights and enforce the law to the fullest. We intend to ensure that the law is applied uniformly, all of us, not just us, you as well, as it is to all properties in town and subject to judicial review, and it will be to question, and judicial review will question this. This isn't a threat, it's actually going to happen if you move forward with this. It is in the best interest of all of us that we avoid this, as this will be a wasteful use of all of our money. This is land that is so clearly meant to be used for preservation purposes. You're also on notice that there are other readily available options that are in the town of East Hampton that are not on the land that should be preserved. This town must follow their own policies and laws, as we all have, along with state laws, as this decision will be subject to intense scrutiny and review in a court of law. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, next up is Christopher Kozak. Welcome, Christopher.
Hey, everybody. Christopher Kozak, 546 Wainscott Northwest. And I think I got the meeting right last time. Last time I called in and you kind of guided me along here. But my name is Christopher Kozak, and I am the next door neighbor sharing a long border with 550 Wainscott with my wife, Elise McKenna, and we are opposed to this opportunistic acquisition. The opportunity to comment the last board meeting on this topic, and we've submitted a statement as well to the town clerk. I'd ask the board to address the following questions regarding plans for 550 and 549 Wainscott in advance of an acquisition decision. Will the board acknowledge the intended use of this property is already known, given the funding source restricts construction to community housing, and the town's April 22nd posted agenda for the Community Housing Advisory Board directly states the intent is acquisition of real property for housing? Will the board acknowledge any development on this property, regardless of scope, will have an environmental impact that should trigger a SEQA review pre-acquisition, as this land is part of the critical groundwater recharge area and supports significant local wildlife with no sewer or water infrastructure, no existing structures, and that you will have to at least partially bulldoze this woodland habitat to get this done? Will the board acknowledge this is a low-density, rural, quiet residential area with existing low-density residential zoning established by the town to limit high-density construction? Will the board acknowledge this land is not part of an affordable housing overlay district today, but rather a critical groundwater recharge zone with strict clearing limits intended to allow water to return to the town's freshwater aquifer and protect it from significant septic and other impacts? Will the board acknowledge development of this land cannot exceed 45,000 square feet of clearing, including roadways, septic, parking, and other infrastructure in line with existing zoning for the water recharge overlay district? And will the board commit that they will have no intent to seek exceptions or variances to existing zoning and environmental protections, which are critical to protecting groundwater in Wainscott and East Hampton broadly? I'd like to point out the town's preservation acquisition of 516 Wainscott Northwest steps away in nearly identical land, which the town stated as ecologically significant, and that preservation was the best alternative of all reasonable alternatives available to the town for protection of the community character of the town of East Hampton, and that such acquisition would be in the best interest of the town. I'd also like to point out the town's preservation acquisition of 500 Wainscott Northwest also steps away, where the town acknowledged the water recharge overlay and called the land a, quote, critical environmental area. It's critical to solve the affordable housing shortage in town. I question that this is the best strategy and the best use of town funding. Thank you for your consideration, and we look forward to better understanding what you're planning for the neighborhood.
Thank you, Christopher. John Tarbett. Welcome, John.
Hi, thank you. It might be a legit question. It is a legit question. Does the need for affordable housing outweigh the last 50 years of environmental protection provided by previous town boards to this area? Those protections included designating the area as a water recharge overlay district, which requires 5, and this property and all the surrounding properties were upzoned to 5 acres. It requires that only a total of 45,000 square feet of clearing can occur. And of course, many of you have sat on zoning boards and planning boards. When these properties come before you, all we talk about is how critical the water recharge overlay is, and everybody respects and understands that. So the question before you is does all that get outweighed by the need for community housing? And that's a legitimate question for the board. What I object to is the board saying that we can land bank this. The community housing fund does not allow you to land bank it. You have to, when you take taxpayer money, which was taken from real estate transfers, and you put it in the community housing fund, you have to spend that in community housing. You can't spend it on purchasing vacant land. The purchase of that land commits you to building affordable housing. So my argument, which is a legal argument, is that once you purchase this property, you're committed to building affordable housing on it. So the environmental review, that question about whether affordable housing outweighs the need for the water recharge, that has to be done now. You can't put that off, and you can't do both things at the same time. You can't say we don't intend to develop the property now. We'll do it later, because once you buy the land, we're committed. You can't then transfer it to, say, for preservation. The purchase creates the commitment to build affordable housing. So the discussion about whether the affordable housing outweighs the environment has to occur now. So that's my argument. And I wrote this all down. I submitted a letter to the board. I won't read the letter to you, but you can all read it. So thank you for your time.
Does the letter spell out the 11 neighbors that you're representing?
It does not.
Can you share with us the 11 neighbors that you're representing?
I can submit that later.
Okay, if you could give that to the clerk, please.
Yeah, I don't have it with me tonight, but I can.
Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Kirby Marcantonio. Welcome, Kirby.
Excuse me. Good evening, members of the board. My name is Kirby Marcantonio, and the reason I'm here to speak on behalf of my sister. My sister is Susan Corsi, and Susan Corsi lives on Northwest Wainscott Road, and she has for 40 years now. Matter of fact, she was one of the first houses to build there. Before any power lines were there or cable lines were there, her poor children had to grow up without cable. She was a pioneer in those days. And her house sits on a very, very tiny little lot. It's less than half an acre. It's directly adjacent to this property in the sense that, as you could see from the maps that we had up, basically speaking, these 13 acres are basically sitting on the easterly side of Northwest Wainscott Road, but a tiny, tiny, tiny little sliver sits on the opposite side. What happened in the past, in the old days, people used to get what they called wood lots. You lived in the village, you cut down all the trees, you had to go up in the forest, cut down trees. So some of these lots existed before roads existed. This one was one of them. I know because my father sold it to Mr. Chamberlain back in 1979 for about $85,000. So we remember it well. Wish we had bought it. The thing is, when the road came through, it cut off this itsy bitsy little less than a tenth of an acre slice of property. Now, normally speaking, something like that would be somewhat insignificant. However, because it abuts her property, if she was ever able to get it, she would have almost a half an acre of property, which according to the new ADL laws could be possibly a site for an accessible dwelling unit. Without it, she'd need a variance, setbacks, and all that stuff. So basically, for the last 40 years, she's been hoping that Mr. Chamberlain would sell her, give her that itty-bitty piece of land. But that was never going to be done. Mr. Chamberlain wanted the whole deal, nothing but the deal, and that's life. So originally I came here just to ask if the town could, by any chance, take that tenth of an acre and sell it to my sister at whatever the prorated number would be, so that she might be able to have the opportunity of a accessible dwelling unit sometime in the future. And needless to say, I don't expect you to make a judgment on that tonight, but I've left maps and her letter. She's in Virginia looking after her grandkids right now, so she can't be here. And as her big brother, by 2 years, and somebody who tends to be in these meetings, she wanted me to make sure that her message was brought. On the other hand, though, to be very honest with you, housing, I don't want to use the wrong word here, but housing is a thorny issue, something I think I know pretty well. So when I saw that the town was going to buy it for housing, to be honest, I was jealous. I thought about that property for a long, long time because it's one of only about 5 pieces in the entire town of that size. Now, is it in the right place? Is it not in the right place? How will it be developed? I don't know. I mean, theoretically, the town could put a affordable housing overlay on it and go for 60 units. I don't think that's going to happen. The town could go for 6 units if it chose to. The town could go for 12 units if it chose to. The thing is, although there are some larger lots in that area, traditionally that's a 1-acre zone. So if the town were ever to go forward and do something there, my guess is that they might stick to something fairly small, like maybe 6 or 7 clustered houses there, which I think the neighbors might find to be, well, better than what they might be thinking about right now, which is a 3-mile harbor project or an Acabonic project. So congratulations on the buy, if you do buy it. It's a great piece of property. And then the road begins as to how you use it.
Thank you, Kirby.
Madam Supervisor, may I just correct one issue on that? Kirby, I just want to correct you on one issue. We actually have a resolution on tonight for the ADUs. So the lot size requirement is going down to a 1/4 acre. So your sister-in-law will actually be able to do an ADU on her lot should she so wish. She'll pass that resolution. Yep.
So, all right. Allison Felonius. Welcome back, Allison.
Thank you, thank you. So in general, I am supportive of the acquisition of these parcels. I am a 14th generation Bonneker. My family has been here since the start of this town, which, unlike I'm going to assume, many of those who have spoke against this may not have been. And I'm going to go back. So I am in support of this. It's what we voted for back in 2022 so that we can focus on supporting our residents with affordable housing in the future. Although I do think that Mr. Tarbett made an interesting point, and I'm generally in favor of environmental reviews. However, these properties are priced so well that I would hate for us to lose out on that, number one. But I'm also in favor because we need to curb the trendy commoditization of our communities. Purchasing these properties now for the future ensures, I just lost my space, ensures that it will not be purchased by some luxury developer to then sell to folks who may only be here for 2 to 3 months out of the year. Additionally, it's very easy for folks who already have a home to speak against the purchase, against a purchase of something, whether they're speaking out of fear of the unknown or fear that an affordable housing development in the future or sometime in the future may affect property values. The backbone of our community are the residents who work here, and we need to continue to support them. And folks like me, to live and work here continuously. We're continuously threatened, rather, by the invasion of investors and those who vacation here. Purchasing this property, that sounds really bad, but you understand what I'm saying. Purchasing this property is another example, I think, of how we can just continue to support and strengthen and grow as a community. So I wholeheartedly support this purchase and hope you go through with it.
Thank you, Allison. Okay, so I've gone through the list, so now I'm going to go to the phones. Jason? Could you put the first caller through?
0798. All right. 0798, you're on the air.
Good evening, board. My name is Brad Marks at 541 Wainscott, across the street from where the proposed parcel is. My family lives directly across the street. We've been here for quite some time. It should be noted we are in full support of affordable housing, and it's just a matter of where and done properly and effectively, and that doesn't fit the criteria here. It must be done with transparency, proper planning, and legally sufficient review process. When we purchased our home, we relied on the town's longstanding planning goals to emphasize the preservation, low-density development, the environmental protections, which is now being discussed and appears to be a significant departure from those commitments, as you heard from prior speakers. The road here is narrow. We have young little kids. It's near the airport, which is already a busy trafficked area and already strained. A higher density project could drastically change the traffic, the safety, the groundwater, community character. More importantly, residents are hearing discussions about the board members and from about a much larger development, upwards of closer to 60 units. And while the public is only asking to evaluate a land acquisition itself without full transparency as to what is actually being contemplated, and to us that comes across as misleading, as our representative that's misleading. The public cannot meaningfully evaluate your impacts either, the environmental impacts, the infrastructure strain, or consistency with the town's planning framework that's reasonably and foreseeable scope of the development, as you heard from some of the other prior speakers. Setting aside the secret arguments, which you're going to hear and heard from others, and we've also submitted our own submission, which includes a secret. It requires a hard look at the full and reasonable foreseeable impacts of the project, not a piecemeal review with a limited to the transfer of rights of title. We deserve full transparency before millions of dollars of the community housing funds is committed. And this raises serious concerns about the proper use of the community housing funds. Those funds should be used consistently with the town's planning goals, including preservation of the community character, thoughtful growth, and not in a way that undermines the very preservation framework that we as the residents relied upon when choosing to live here. It's a lot of money, $4 million, for a project that's environmentally sensitive area without a disclosed development plan or complete environmental review, and it raises legitimate concerns to the actual project. And, to the prior speaker, affordable housing is most effective when it's located near infrastructure, transportation, and services, and this area completely lacks those and support and could be overwhelmed, defeating the goal of responsible development. So building and putting as many people in here or without the unknown is not consistent and is actually counterintuitive to building affordable housing to those who can't afford to get around or create other issues. So you might put them in a more higher strain, even though it sounds nice up front. At this point, we're simply asking the board to slow down, provide full transparency, disclose the actual contemplated plans, and conduct a complete and lawful public review before moving forward. Otherwise, we're going to get caught up in this legal battle, as you heard before. You're going to put residents possibly in there in affordable housing that might create a higher strain for them because we just rushed to it. So please do this openly, carefully, and consistent with the town's adopted planning framework. Thank you very much, board.
Thank you.
Hello, caller ending 2341. You're on the air.
Hi, this is Bryony Frage. I am an East Hampton resident. Wow, the number of people that I have heard tonight declaring that they support affordable housing, but just not in my backyard, is exhausting. It's really disappointing. And, Wainscott, of all of the hamlets, has the least amount of affordable housing in the town. We have got to get behind this. $4 million is a very affordable price for a property of this size. Public review will go forward, and everybody here and all of the neighbors who are against this are going to have an opportunity at a public hearing in the future, once we have purchased this land using the Community Housing Fund money. You'll be able to voice your opinion about what type of affordable housing you want to see here. And there will be environmental review. All of the things that you're concerned about will happen, but not if we let this opportunity slide before our eyes and lose the potential for building more affordable housing on the very little bit of land that's available in our town. So I really urge you, this town has done an incredible job of prioritizing affordable housing. And we can't let this slip by. This is exactly what the Community Housing Fund is here for. And I really encourage you to take a look at some of the affordable housing developments that have already gone up in this town, and you might be surprised, and pleasantly surprised at that. But please, not in my backyard does not belong in East Hampton. Thank you.
What's our address?
Caller ending 8662. You're on the air.
Sorry. Hi, this is Anna Skrenta again. I couldn't say it better than Bryony. I just want to echo everything that she said and say that I support this purchase. Thank you.
I missed the person's name. Thank you.
Going to the next caller. Hello, caller 8002. You're on the air. Can you hear me? Caller
And sir,
8002, you're on the air.
Speak out like that again, you're going to be asked to leave the meeting room.
That's fine. Garden City. Caller ending 6294, are you here for this public meeting? Hello, caller ending 6294. Are you here for this public meeting? Okay.
6925.
Sorry. Caller ending 9101. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Would you like to speak on this public hearing?
Yes, please.
Okay, proceed.
Yeah, hi, good evening. My name is Michael Forst, and I would like to support this acquisition of this property. We need more affordable housing, and this seems like a decent area to explore the possibilities of it. I'm not saying it should be, overbuilt, but to not explore every avenue for affordable housing in this town, it'd be a shame. So I'm for support of this. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you, Michael.
Hello, caller ending 6550. You spoke on the last one of our last topics. Do you want to speak on this one too?
No, thank you. I just wanted to listen.
Understood. Could you please listen online on YouTube or another device, please? Thank you.
Oh, sure.
All right, one moment.
She was on an earlier call as well, but she came back on.
Hello, caller 6925. Would you like to speak on this public hearing?
Yes. Hello, everyone. Hello again. This is Pilar Moya Menserek, Secretary Director of Housing Help, Inc., a tiny but mighty HUD-certified housing counseling agency that has been serving the East End communities for the last 5 years. As I mentioned before, we have an office in Riverhead. I also want to share with you that after 46 years, we finally completed the development of 146 affordable housing units in East Norfolk, in Western Suffolk County. For those who have questions about the legalities of these, and by the way, I do support the purchase of the property, but for those who have questions about the legalities of these, I will ask you to please, you may want to check some case law. It's called Maternal Court against the town of Huntington and the state of New York. That was a case law that was created as a result of our development. We ended up having to sue the town and the state of New York for violations, fair housing violations, because they did not want to change the zoning of single family to multifamily housing. So there is case law that actually support this. I really congratulate the town of the town for one, holding this public hearing, 2, for the community housing that you already have available, 3, for being so forward and ready to purchase this property. I also want to say I speak on behalf of the 3,000 tenants that are not there right now with you guys. We hear from homeowners, but we work with 3,000 tenants every year who call my office asking for affordable housing on Long Island. And it's just a shame. It's just a shame that those that says that not in my backyard don't put the needs of the hardworking people who really need this housing. They don't make that a priority. And let me tell you, if you ask the very low income people, affordable housing is not affordable to them. Let's be honest. Affordable housing is really for middle class. And affordable housing is for people who are disabled. Affordable housing is for senior citizens that need to downsize. Affordable housing is for our EMS, our firefighters, law enforcement. Affordable housing is for those that are providing services to us. Yes, my headquarters are in East Norfolk. I have an office in Riverhead, but I spend 1 month every year right here in Southampton. And I can tell you one thing. Every time I drive to Southampton, I'm driving at 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, and the eastbound of Sunrise Highway is always bumper to bumper, because the workers that serve our East End communities cannot afford to live here. It's about time that we do something about it. It's about time that we show our support for them. Sorry, I'm going above the time, but to each town board member, thank you. We support it on behalf of Housing Help. I'll be happy to share the attorneys that help us with it. And trust me, I will also be happy to share the case law that is already in existence. Thank you.
Thank you, Paloma.
Okay, caller ending in 6000. You're on the air.
Hello and good evening. This is Michael Daly, and many of you may recognize me as the former leader with Brian E. Frage of East End YIMBY, the community housing advocacy group. That group is now history, as you might say, and today I am senior advisor with True North Associates, which provides technical support to municipalities and community organizations who are looking to create more community housing. And tonight, what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to comment on this specific topic, except to say I was by the property yesterday, and I was delighted to see how close it was to 114, and can see people walking from that property to catch a bus to go either east or west to their jobs, schools, families. But tonight I want to channel you, King, you're the village crier, and share a little bit of history about housing in East Hampton. After quite a bit of research, I wanted to share the following with you. East Hampton has a long, very specific history of farmers, fishers, artists, and local workers living side by side. Modern history of East Hampton began as a 17th century English farming and fishing community, with land organized so smallholders and commoners could work fields and access the shore. Whaling and near-shore fishing made it normal for working families to live close to harbors, beaches, and commons rather than being pushed to the margins. The town's legal deals with the Montaukett people explicitly preserved native hunting and fishing rights, even as colonists took title, which is an early example of formal recognition that land and water access mattered for local livelihoods. At the same time, wealthy families like the Gardeners accumulated large estates, so class and land concentration were already baked into the landscape. By the late 1800s, East Hampton was already being described as a kind of rural artist's paradise, laid on top of a working farm village. The Title Club, young New York artists, visited in 1878 and helped popularize the village as an artist's gold mine, drawing painters who lived in local boarding houses and farm-out buildings rather than in separate elite enclaves. Contemporary accounts emphasize the happy juxtaposition of artists and farmers, with easels literally blocking barnyards as painters used local farmers, fishers, and village characters as subjects. The fact that these artists stayed in modest lodgings like Rowdy Hall on Main Street underscored that. At this stage, artists and young workers could still find cheap rooms within the existing local housing stock. Working Harbor, I'll go quickly. Working Harbor freed black communities and small houses around Sag Harbor. Whaling turned the area into a major port in the early mid-19th century, employing hundreds of men in ship and shore trades. These communities are an important example of low-cost resident-built housing for working families tied to maritime labor, and their survival for generations, despite pressure from development, reflects how freed workers carved out secure homes close to employment in an otherwise hierarchical, estate-dominated landscape. The extension of the Long Island Railroad changed our history, and that's what we live in today. But I'd like to believe that we can celebrate and emulate our early history and reconnect to recreating a community of farmers, fishers, artists, and local workers living side by side. I implore you to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
Okay, and let's see. Caller ending in 3872. You're on the air.
Oh, hi, good evening.
I'm confused. I'm watching online and I'm listening to you guys live. So which hearing are we still participating in right now?
Martin, they're still on let's see, real property for housing 549 and 550 in Wayne Scott.
Oh,
It's
I
number
thought it
4.
was that. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'd like to make a comment, please. I've been an affordable housing guy my entire career.
Copy that. You're on the air.
All right, thank you. Martin Drew Springs. Yeah, I'm glad you guys are speaking to all this. So I have to tell you that, yes, local housing is desperately needed. But I was speaking with our esteemed chair today in Springs, Miss Loring Bolger, to let her know that I was part of witnessing the town of East Hampton taking affordable housing overlays out of the maps deliberately and methodically over the years. So kind of sad to think that we're out of property now when we already had it set aside. So I don't oppose housing, but I oppose these purchases for the fact that we probably should be focusing at the airport where 100 acres, I understand, is available now, maybe possibly because a lease is expiring with the gun club. And I think it's time we get our community asset back. And with 100 acres, we could do a lot of stuff, a lot of housing, and we already own it. So no, I don't support this purchase, but I do support affordable housing in its concept. And yes, we need to find a place to put it. And as a hub in our community, the airport is the absolute perfect place to get this stuff done. So the years and years I watch you folks talk about it, shame on you. The locals need their place. You need to get something accomplished here. And while we're at it, you need to adopt one of your comprehensive plans. And like I spoke to Loring today, we need Springs to have a revitalization concept or some type of study where we have a lot of stuff to talk about in Springs, and we can't just pick my problems, pick Loring's needs and some things that I want to go down with the library and what they're shooting for. We need direction and a plan, and you need a central bank for your housing. You bank all this land for affordable housing, your CPF purchases, but you don't have a central bank, and you don't have a sending and receiving plan, a map. That's where you decide these major problems. Which areas are good for development, that's a receiving zone, and which areas are good for preservation, a sending zone. You guys need to get your act together with all due respect. So that's it for me, please. You guys need to really study this stuff and make some action. Airport, 100 acres, get it done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Martin.
Okay, 2170, you're on the air.
Hi, thank you very much. I'm a teacher in the town and live here in Sag Harbor, and I'm fortunate to work where I teach, to teach where I live.
Sorry,
I
so
know
would you
that's
mind
not the
introducing
case
your
for
name?
most of- Charlie Frage. Hello?
Yep, go ahead.
And so while I appreciate the sentiment about the airport, there's no need to sacrifice the good for the great. Affordable housing where we can get it seems like the right thing to do. Every day I look out at these houses that are being built, Marsden lot, and I just can't help but think when I hear this debate that some houses are going to be built on this property, whether we buy it for affordable housing or not. So if there's a problem with this lot, it's that you just don't want to build affordable houses. I encourage the board to support this purchase. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlie.
Did Vaughn just check?
All right. 0724, we had you noted for number 6, but we just wanted to make absolutely sure that you wanted to talk on this one or not.
No, I will wait for Resolution 6.
All right, thank you very much. We'll go back to you then.
6294.
And 6294, you were unresponsive before. I just wanted to see if you're still there. 3, 2. Okay, that is our callers. Thank you.
So we're back in there. Jane and then Jen.
Welcome, Jane.
Good evening, Town Board. Jane Meering, resident of Amagansett, speaking only as an individual, not in any capacity as a member of any appointed board or town board or committee. I'm having a nostalgic moment right now. In the fall of 2022, I volunteered 4 or 5 Saturday mornings standing in front of the Amagansett post office alongside my friend Anna Skrenta, educating residents about and advocating for the passage of the then upcoming November 2022 voter referendum to approve the establishment of the new community housing fund transfer payment. Perhaps it was the fact that we were still using Betty Mazur's decades-old folding card table during that advocating that she had passed on to Anna, and I think it brought us special luck because the CHF referendum passed in East Hampton and passed by a much bigger percentage of the vote than was seen relative to any of the other towns that had it on their ballot. But more than the luck at the card table, I know that the CHF was so widely embraced in our town because of the town board's consistent all hands on housing initiatives, and that so many of our town residents understand that this issue is existential. We won't be able to sustain our centuries of local community without an increase in creation of stable, economically accessible housing options for our population who live and work and volunteer and create here full-time in East Hampton. So I am especially pleased and excited to be able to speak to you this evening in strong favor of this acquisition in what can be categorized as land banking. Land banking is a very effective and common strategy used by municipalities as well as not-for-profit entities such as community housing trusts. I believe, as do others, that land banking for the purpose of facilitating the creation of economically accessible housing opportunities for local community is indeed one of, if not the highest and best use of CHF funds. Now, I want to, of course, acknowledge a few of the particular conditions on this parcel. The 13 acres are undeveloped, fully wooded, perhaps most importantly, sits in what's known as an East Hampton Water Recharge Overlay District, and I believe the parcel is in A5 zoning. As I understand the town code, a subdivision related to development of a property that lies in both WRO and A5 zoning would require undisturbed preservation of about 70% of the parcel. It seems that those opposing the proposed CHF purchase of this parcel are rather pro-development, more in favor of luxury house development. They seem to be suggesting that type of housing would have little impact on them and not impact the environment or the water quality. I think by now you all know I love math. And so I'm going to do some quick mathing here, and I'm going to go, where am I? Oh, shoot. Can I take one more minute? I'm sorry.
She can have 35 cents.
If, as I see it, if this were bought in for private development, this property could probably yield 2-acre properties. When you take the size of what's allowed under our maximum GFA code plus what you could do below ground that doesn't count, you would probably have 2 houses that range somewhere between, I think I had 12,000 and 15 or 16,000 square feet, plus all the other amenities that come with it. But if we take a hypothetical alternative model that maybe a CHF could perhaps do here, let's consider something known as like a pocket neighborhood. And what could be accomplished on the same 4 acres relative to that 22,800 or 30,400 square feet of living space. All in, if the town were to do something like, average 1,250 square foot homes that rent, perhaps rentals, using the same amount of land, keeping as much preservation as 70%, you could probably have 18 to 24 affordable housing that could house families, individuals, people who work here, fishermen, farmers, artists, all the people. All in, I'm just my last paragraph. I don't know about you, but I certainly prefer the second option, an incredible option that will house our friends and neighbors. All in, I'm done. I trust this board knows and respects the environmental sensitivity of what it is purchasing, and I trust that you will develop something unique and in keeping with local character that comports with the water recharge overlay codes, the standards of open space. I know that you will engage in a full and robust secret process when there's a plan in hand. I know that there will be hours and hours of robust public discussion, work sessions, public hearings, and post-hearing public deliberation when everyone can come together, when we know and we can all come together to shape the best plan. So I strongly support the acquisition, and thank you for your consideration. Sorry, I went over.
Jen, you can go next after Jen.
Good evening, Town Board. Thanks. Jennifer Folks, I'm here as a private citizen, as Jane said, not as any member of any appointed boards. I strongly support the acquisition of this land for affordable housing in the future. I have lived here nearly my entire life. I have raised my children here. 2 of my children have graduated from college and are back living at home with me. And I think that just from my own personal experience, the need for affordable housing for our families is paramount. And anything that you guys can do to help support local families who work in town and who want to stay in town, stay here, I think that's an amazing thing. I love the idea of the land bank. And I also just want to say to the question of NIMBYism, I support affordable housing, full stop. There was a chance a few years ago for a piece of property on the street that I live in, that I live on, to become part of the affordable housing land bank, but it was opposed by Suffolk County. I think it's on 2 Holes of Water Road. And I just want to say, I live there. I don't care if my housing value goes down. I'm not selling. I'm here for the long haul. And I want my kids and their, families to be able to stay here too. So more affordable housing. Thanks.
Thank you. Welcome.
My name is Yaron Rosenthal. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak. I've been listening patiently to, all of the people that have been talking about these different issues. And I don't think anybody's opposed to affordable housing. I certainly am not. I employ 6,000 people, and I'd love for them to have affordable housing. But I think they're mixing the issues here. That area is an environmentally protected area. Now, my son, who's sitting in the back here, was cited criminally by this board here for not complying to the rules. Eventually, it was a mistake, but why do you have? First of all, if you're going to rezone the property for 60 units, I'll buy it. I'll put up 60 units. But, if you're going to develop it, you have to abide by the rules that you made. You got to protect the environment. If you're not wanting to protect the environment, then change it for the whole area. So we can buy other areas and other buildings and put up, giant structures there. I'd also like to address what that elegant lady said about, not in my backyard. What she's saying is, I want it in your backyard. So, we're happy to support it, do it properly, do it legally, abide by the rules that are in place already. Or if you're going to change them, in New York City, if they change zoning, they change it for the whole block. Change it for the whole area if you feel it's not an environmental concern. Thank you for your time, and thank you for your service.
Thank you. Gloria, and then Andrew.
Oh, boy. Gloria Frazee. I live in the village and the town of East Hampton. I really hear the concern and emotion from all of our neighbors. This is a huge issue. I would like to point out that all of East Hampton is environmentally sensitive. We live near the water. We have a single source aquifer. And everything we do as individual homeowners and as a town has a huge impact on our environment. That said, some people have mentioned that this is a rush to develop. I would say that we are making up for decades, many decades of lost time as we try to cross every T and dot every I. And what we do need to do is to purchase this property, to land bank it, as Jane had said, to make it available in the future. She also mentioned pocket neighborhoods. I myself grew up in a pocket neighborhood in Massachusetts because once my parents were divorced, we couldn't afford a house. We couldn't live in the school system that I was used to. My mother couldn't afford to live near her job without living in a cute little condominium community. These neighborhoods allow for families to stay, for workers to live here, for children to prosper. A question at the end of the day is, do we want to live in an East Hampton where Boddickers can no longer afford to live, where our service industry, our various workers cannot afford to live? And it's these people who make East Hampton rich. It's the artists, the painters, the writers, the bookbinders, the tree huggers, the people who would want to raise their families here. This is what this is all about. Do we really want to live in an East End that is a gated community that does not allow other people in, only the people who can afford to live in massive homes? Thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. Andrew was going to go next, or is Jerry? I think he's leaving. Welcome, Andrew.
My name is Andrew Garvey. My background is primarily in finance, on municipal infrastructure and affordable housing. I also sit on the board of a national nonprofit focused on affordable housing across the U.S., and I'm currently the voluntary chair of the town's Community Housing Advisory Board. But I'm speaking tonight as a full-time resident of the town. Solving affordable housing is a very complex problem everywhere, but especially in geographically isolated region like the town of East Hampton. Our town is further challenged by large seasonal workforce, huge seasonal population surges, a large second home ownership cohort, strong real estate demand driven by our natural beauty, to name a few. And this is made even more challenging given our environmental constraints, especially clean water and septic. The best approach, in my opinion, to solve affordable housing or to work on it is to use all available tools to create and preserve affordable housing in all forms: single family, multifamily, rental, ownership, land use and zoning reform, tax policy, new units, preserving the affordable units we already have. It also must involve be creative and opportunistic. Given these constraints we're operating under, land at an attractive pricing is a critical piece of the puzzle. Thus, this purchase being discussed tonight. In my opinion, it is a rare opportunity that must be pursued. Given its size, pricing, and preliminary environmental characteristic, it is an attractive opportunity for more affordable housing. But here's the key: what kind of affordable housing? Well, that is where this process tonight and the go forward comes in. The easy answer has been discussed, is not in my backyard. The harder answer is yes, but here's what could work. Coming up with this solution should involve all of our community, yes, the immediate neighborhood, but also the larger town of East Hampton community, our local businesses, the essential worker community, healthcare, police and fire, schools, government, seniors. Let's take this opportunity to work together to address affordable housing because it is critical for the long-term vitality of our town. In my opinion, if we don't get proactive around affordable housing, we will all lose what we love about living here. But very importantly, if we can't come up with that plan, the town can sell the property or may have another purpose that the community feels is the highest and best use. But in my opinion, given the urgent need that we have to make progress on our affordable housing challenges, this purchase makes sense. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to address the board? No? Jason, is there anyone else new on the line?
All of our callers have already spoken.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. And if I just can, if and when the board has used the term land banking in connection with this property in the past, we do not mean land banking forever. We mean buying the property now to secure it, to create development plans later. We have not had the opportunity to create those plans yet due to the limited window the property has been available. Okay, Michael, if you could please read the 5th meeting notice. No, closed.
Please take notice
The
that
hearing is closed. If you can write to us via email or call our offices.
Please take notice that the town board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon after as this matter can be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to hear any and all persons either for or against a local law entitled A Local Law to Amend Chapter 255 Zoning of the East Hampton Town Code to amend the definition of affordable housing units.
Thank you, Michael. If you could please, if you're leaving the room, excuse me, if you're leaving the room, we have 6 more public hearings and the mics are picking you up. Okay. Number 5, Mark Schillen is signed up. Welcome, Mark.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mark Schillen. I live on 6 Spring Close Lane. I live in a house that for 70 years has had 3 generations of my family living there. I am a retired New York City emergency paramedic. I have seen horrible things that most people cannot really imagine, but I think I'm also quite good at seeing con jobs. I repeat that, con jobs. Now, I want to speak about the change in the zoning on the Stearns property on Pantico Road. Let's be very clear about the zoning change. The zoning change is about money. It's about millions and millions of dollars.
Excuse me.
And it's about
Mark,
greed.
this is about you've got the right public hearing. This is about the definition of affordable housing.
Yes, I will segue into that.
Okay, great. And if you could address the board as opposed to the audience.
Okay. This is presented as affordable housing. The idea is the present zoning allows 8 homes on 4 acres. I'm sort of rounding out the figures. All right. The proposition is to put an affordable housing overlay on this and allow 12 homes per acre. All right. Let's do some simple arithmetic. 4 acres, 8 homes. The developer has suggested he would charge approximately $1 million for each dwelling. That is $32 million. This developer wants, on the pretext of providing affordable housing, wants to increase the zoning to 12 houses per acre. And this will add 16 more houses, and it will add $16 million in sales to what he is creating there. I think this is a horrible, it's a very small property. It's going to be a very dense setting, even with 32 dwellings. And it has the potential of putting 100 or more cars, 100 or more cars on that property. This is a tremendous overload. Again, as many people have said, and nobody opposes affordable housing, but I don't think enriching some developers with millions of dollars, and in this case, $16 million, is the right way to achieve affordable housing. I feel that you should not allow this change. It does not benefit our community. It benefits developers, the developers. And by the way, this is a very mysterious development process. Who are the investors in this project? We know one man, the lead man, but we don't know the names of any of the other people. And they're expecting to be given the opportunity, and it's a surefire opportunity to make $16 million more with the change in zoning on this. That does not seem right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Would anyone else like to address the board on this public hearing? Please.
I don't know how this hearing.
It's not this hearing.
It's not this hearing.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Close enough. Affordable housing.
Hello, my name is Mary Wasserstein, and I was here, I feel like just recently, about 152 3 Mile Harbor Road. And it's the same model that's going to be applied. And I want to read a statement because I want to make sure that I get everything out and don't get nervous. So give me 1 second. All right. I'm speaking tonight regarding the proposed amendment to Chapter 255 of the East Hampton Town and my deep opposition to the amendment. Amending our town code for the benefit of a for-profit developer is deeply concerning. And let's be clear, the only ones who will benefit from this are luxury chain brands, country clubs, and large groups who can afford the $1 million sticker price. This is not for local businesses. And even though it's being cloaked with the language of affordable housing and workforce housing, if the town amends Chapter 255 straight out of the gate, it will sanction the building of close to, upwards we get privately 60 owned condos on 3.8 acres on Pantego by a for-profit builder. For context, the previous owner of the property had attempted to subdivide the property into 3 lots and was denied. But because the phrase affordable housing and workforce housing is being attached, we are throwing away all restrictions out the door. For the purchasers of these units are a financial windfall. Depending on how the bylaws of the condos are structured, the owners could be required to make very small down payments. Their employees would then begin paying off their investments in the form of rent. Employees would not only be working for their landlords, but building equity in them as well. Let's talk about the rent. Based on the guidelines of the proposed amendment, Section 255-1-20, rents cannot exceed 130% of the fair market rate for Nassau and Suffolk County, which for 2026, the projected FMR, this is projected, is $3,600, meaning that an owner can charge upwards of $4,680 per bedroom of 3-bedroom apartment, which breaks down to $1,560 per bedroom before utilities. Hardly affordable. Not to mention the tax benefits the owner receives from having a rental property when they sell. If the employee takes the compensation in the form of a reduced rental rate, they will be on the hook for taxes. The next question is, will the rental properties be bound by the existing rental code, which limits the number of unrelated individuals to 4 or less unrelated individuals? The town will be investing tax dollars in this project in the form of human services and oversight through the Office of Housing Community Services, which will annually be reviewing leases, complaints, and potential violations. This is potentially hundreds of hours of manpower, which will be paid for by the taxpayers of the town. There is also the discussion of tenant protection vis-a-vis evictions with the termination of employment. Tenants are offered either the length of their lease or 6 months, whichever is greater. Considering that the likelihood of most of these people being seasonal tenants, this offers no protection for people looking for long-term housing. Further, as noted, there's been endless studies that show tying employment to housing results in lower rates of pay, as well as housing insecurity and unreported employer violations. I also just want to ask really quickly, because I know I'm over my time and I'm always snarky about everyone else who does this, but I'd like to understand what my concern is that this amendment, which I think is dangerous and a Pandora's box, would be applied to the acquisition of 459 and 451, because potentially you could do the same overlay there and have all the same issues. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mary. Would anyone else like to address the board on this topic? Kirby?
Sorry, I'm a little confused. Are we doing the?
Kirby?
We're doing the definition,
Or,
amend the definition of affordable housing unit.
so, no, I'm cool.
Okay. Jason, is there anyone on the line?
Yes, I'll unmute our caller. Caller ending 3872, you're on the air.
Thank you, Martin Drew. I'll do my public speaking real easy. I oppose this amendment to the code. The lady who spoke, Ms. Wasserstein, celebrate her comments. I second them all. The gentleman who spoke earlier too, I second everything he has to say about this. And yeah, it's not something, as a person who's suffering intense use increase in an area and you guys can't control it, I definitely wouldn't want to see an increase in anything that's gone on over there. So you need to stay within the boundaries of the law that's already been set. These zoning issues have been talked time and time again over decades. We've entered 3 and 4 comprehensive plans. I'm not even sure at this point if we ever adopted one, but what you're really lacking is the total town-wide comprehensive plan that tells us what land is good for development and what land is needing of preservation. The sending and receiving map that ties in with your community preservation fund program, where you're doing nothing but hoarding affordable housing credits that you should immediately let loose at the town airport. So quit playing games with people's lives and get people some housing. And I oppose this. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. Is there anyone else, Jason?
Yes, unmuting now. And
6466.
hello, caller 6466, you're on the air.
Good evening. My name is Vicki Littman, and I'm calling in support to amend Chapter 255 of the East Hampton Town Code. The town will never be able to solve the housing crisis on its own, and if we truly want to keep our children, working families, seniors, and essential workers in this community, we need to seriously consider every viable housing option available. Amending this code will be a step in addressing the housing crisis. Thank you to the board.
Thank you, Vicki. Jason, is there anyone else on the line?
We have one person for the next call, for the next, whatchamacallit, topic, and after that, one part, they just jumped back on. Okay. Hello, caller 9101, you're on the air.
Yeah, good evening. It's Mike Forst again. I would like to support this amendment. You know, I think affordable housing is important in this town. I don't know how this relates to what everyone else is speaking of, but you know, as I read it, it seemed like a good written code, and I support it. Thanks very much. Have a good night.
And that is that so far.
All right, I'm going to go to the room one more time. Would anyone like to address the board?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Michael, if you could read the 6th meeting notice, please.
Wait, 6, here we go. Take notice, the town board hereby directs that a public hearing shall be held on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or soon after, as this matter can be heard at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to hear any and all persons for or against a local law entitled A Local Law to Amend Chapter 255 Zoning of the East Hampton Town Code for the creation of a rent-restricted employer-sponsored housing definition and special permit standards.
Thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to address the board on this hearing? Chris. Welcome, Chris.
Long night. Madam Supervisor,
Getting
members of the board,
started.
I think several of the prior speakers intended to speak on this amendment, so.
Yeah, we tried to correct it. We tried to correct you, but
Christopher Kelly, Toomey Latham Shea Kelly, Dubin and Cororaro for 350 Pantico Road LLC and for the Center for Workforce Housing. We applaud the town board's efforts in finding different ways to achieve the goal of providing housing that our residents and workforce can afford. You have our letter in the record on this legislation, which we support, and we urge you to immediately adopt. You should also have a letter from Stony Brook Southampton Hospital. We've been in conversations with the hospital for quite some time about their housing needs and whether they would be interested in purchasing workforce housing units at the 350 Pantico Road site to support their medical staff's housing needs, both for the East Hampton Emergency Room and for their general needs. They have indicated their interest in purchasing units through their foundation to house medical workers and support the legislation as well. And they also support the essential worker exception that we have proposed. While we request the immediate adoption of the law, we request that the board consider following its adoption by enacting an essential worker exception so that medical personnel, school district personnel, municipal employees, and public safety workers may rent there regardless of their combined family incomes. We urge the board also to consider an amendment once they've enacted this legislation as proposed, removing the limited business overlay district criterion, which would severely limit the scope of the legislation and its effectiveness and limit projects to properties on Montauk Highway and North Main Street. We want to note here that the planning board unanimously supports this legislation, and it is their call for the affordable housing at the 350 Pantico Road site that inspired my clients to purchase the property and work towards the goal of providing affordable workforce housing there. Our investors are local and longtime East Hampton residents whose families have owned businesses in East Hampton and Montauk for generations. The only opposition to this legislation that we have heard are one, that it would be used for transient housing, that it would not be managed by the town, and that it would be for profit. Some of the speakers have spoken to that. As to the critique that it would provide transient housing, first of all, we need transient workers in this community. It's not a dirty word as far as I'm concerned, to provide staff for our businesses that are oftentimes seasonal. But setting that aside, as the support of the hospital and other year-round businesses indicates, these units will be provided for year-round employees as well as seasonal employees. But I also urge you to ask yourselves, what is more transient? Workers who work 6 days a week or more, May through October, in East Hampton, or people who work in New York City and occupy their houses only on weekends 6 months a year. We would submit that there is nothing wrong with transient workers and that the definition of transient can be applied to affluent second homeowners just as easily as to workers who live here all week and work in the community. As to the issue of management, we have been in discussions with the town since we started talking about this legislation over 3 years ago, and the town has expressed that concern, and we're sensitive to that. This legislation, as you know, addresses that. All condominiums in the private sector are managed by homeowners associations who hire third-party management companies. There are, in fact, management companies in this town that are very equipped and accustomed to managing condo projects. As per this legislation, any project, including the one at 350 Pantico, will have a condo board and a management company involved in seeing to it, A, that the covenants and restrictions regarding affordability are enforced, including as to who can lease the condos, and B, making sure that the grass is cut, the snow is plowed, and disputes, if any, between residents are resolved.
Chris, if you could wrap it up, please.
I will. As to being for-profit, we plead guilty, but we underscore the fact that not a dime of public money or grants funded by taxpayer dollars will be used. We think that is in the public interest. In closing, I would just like to thank the board and its legal and planning staffs for working so hard on this concept and being cognizant of the fact that there are many paths to getting to the desired result of having affordable places for the members of our East Hampton workforce to live. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris. Would anyone else like to address the board? Sam? Welcome, Sam.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Good evening, Madam Supervisor and members of the board. It's good to see all of you again. I'm here tonight to offer comment about the proposed revision to the town code to introduce rent-restricted employer-sponsored housing development.
Could you just talk into the microphone, please?
Usually I don't even need the microphone. I'm here tonight to offer comment about the proposed revision to the town code to introduce rent-restricted employer-sponsored housing development, proposed section 255-5-50. I certainly understand the impetus for the proposed revision. It's hard to dispute that the town needs housing that will enable people who work here to actually live here. And I'm not here to comment about the particulars of the proposal in terms of zoning or site plan or other considerations regarding increases in density or the amenities to be offered. The proposed revision leaves most of these matters involving the design and implementation to the planning board, and I'm fine with that. I do have questions about section 3G of the revision, which contemplates that the housing units may be in the form of condominiums, because it strikes me that that might be a massive windfall. But it seems to me that, and I should add, it seems to me that the revision downplays the regulatory role of the Attorney General in regarding condominiums. But those are technical matters, and I'm really not concerned overly about them. What I am concerned about and what I question is the wisdom of tying employment to housing. While we all hope that people will act in good faith at all times, I cannot help but worry that the ability of workers to complain to their employers or to gripe about the conditions under which they work will be stymied, at least, when their homes are owned by the same people for whom they work. I fear retaliation against loudmouths. It seems that the only protection that an employee tenant has under this proposal is a 6-month grace period, which allows them to continue to reside in their home, quote, in the event that an employee ceases employment. I worry about the chilling effect that employee mobility will be visited on employee mobility when employees are unable or unwilling to change their jobs, quit their jobs, because they're going to be tied to their employment. I think that it's just a dangerous road to go down. Now, I know there are any number of employers in this town who provide employees with housing, and if an employee fires or gets fired or quits, he doesn't have even that protection. And I know that some of that housing may not strictly be within the confines of the law, but this is different. These revisions bestow benefits to businesses that own real property in town, including zoning protections, increased density, and other items that may or likely to enhance the value of that property. And more important, enhance the value of the businesses that own those properties. I think it's important to ask whether a housing crisis means that the town should be in the business of increasing the value of already successful businesses merely because the town seems unable to build that housing. If the town needs housing, the town should build housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sam. Would anyone else like to speak? Katie?
Well, good evening again. Katie Casey, East Hampton Housing Authority. I hadn't planned actually on commenting on this, but I believe I heard a suggestion that there might be a lifting of an AMI cap removal for certain exclusions. So on this particular property, 350 Panago, if it is a condominium, we do have condominiums in town. They have been developed privately. There is no prohibition against the developers doing that. There's certainly no prohibition on turning a profit in East Hampton. I wouldn't begrudge anyone for making a sound investment and getting a good return on it. The more I hear about this particular plan, though, the less it sounds like affordable housing to me. If you were to pierce the 130% AMI cap on a privately owned condominium, there is no control over who lives there, for how long, frequency, occupancy. There's no way that any town office, either code enforcement or building department or housing and community development, would be able to keep a handle on that. So I thought I did hear just this evening that there's a suggestion of not having an income cap on the occupants of these condominiums. I believe I heard that correctly. And that was kind of the little bell I was waiting for, and I hope you heard it. Thank you.
Mark? And then Kirby, you can go after Mark.
Mark Shilen, let me kind of reiterate some comments I made that originally were meant to apply to the Pantico Road development. I described it as a con game, and I think that's what it is. It is an enriching of these mysterious investors by putting the affordable housing overlay on that property. And it is creating it's creating approximately $11 million of wealth just because they get that overlay. I don't think that's right. I don't think private developers should be enriched and leave the mess to the town. At some point with this worker housing, it's going to fall on the town to regulate it, and it's a regulatory mess. It really, the guidelines are going to collapse as soon as the market, these houses hit the market, and it's going to be a very intense regulatory struggle to keep the income guidelines or the length of residency going. And it's going to fall on the town. The developer has cashed out. They're gone. You know, there has clearly been, again, we don't know who the developers are, but they certainly have money. They can hire a very slick, connected legal team and obviously pay them a great deal of money. And the legal team will happily argue, for how wonderful this project is and how it will benefit everybody. But the beneficiaries are the investors. It's not the town. The town is left with a mess to clean up. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Kirby?
Hi, good evening again. My name is Kirby Mark Antonio, and I want to thank the board for their time and attention to this matter. As for the work they have done over the 4 years to bring this matter to the table today, but as Winston Churchill famously stated, this is not the end. It's not even the beginning of the end. It is perhaps the end of the beginning. I urge the town board to enact this legislation immediately. If you do, we can begin the process of obtaining the required permits from the town and Suffolk County to actually see 350 Panago come to life. Permits that will determine the final details of what will be the very first workforce housing project in either the town of East Hampton or Southampton. I am immensely proud of the work we have done today. And when I say I am, I mean just that. This is a project I've worked on tirelessly to conceive and develop. It has been since January 12th, 2022, when I first walked into Kate Rogers's office with an idea to provide housing for local businesses that could not obtain or afford legal housing. It was my project when my partner, a third-generation Montauk businessman who recognized the need for housing for his businesses and many others, bought the old Stearns property for $5.2 million in March of 2024. He and I are 100% owners of this project. There are no hidden investors. Any assertions to the contrary are false. But why am I leading this charge? I was a real estate broker for 15 years from 1980 to 1995 who specialized in buying, selling, and subdividing land. To do that, I needed a comprehensive knowledge of local zoning, land use, and land availability. I wrote offering plans to transform oceanfront motels into fully approved and functioning cooperatives. And I got 5 plans approved in 5 years by the state of New York. I even did a timeshare plan approved for a 526-room Midtown Manhattan hotel called the Hotel Tudor. It didn't work. As a publisher of Montauk Life and Hampton Life, I know many of my clients are struggling to keep their doors open because they have no help. That same goes for the largest employers in this town. We recently did a quick survey of the current salaries of Town of East Hampton, Village of East Hampton, Town Police, Village Police, school workers from Wayne-Scott to Montauk. It shows that of those 1,000 workers, only 1% can buy a home here. We've even heard from members of the town board who have mentioned that were they needing to buy a house today, it might be hard. Certainly for their children, certainly for their grandchildren. The point is we are in very deep trouble here when the best paid white-collar workers can't live here, let alone dishwashers, cooks, landscape workers, and retail staff. But you all know that. The trade parade is daily evidence of our lack of employee housing. This legislation will enable our project at 350, which is the first, and I hope not last, a chance to address that. Last, as a private project that takes no money from the town, the state, or the county, we do need to make a profit to make this work. The recent market study commissioned by the town itself shows that the average cost to construct an affordable housing unit here is roughly $700,000. We will charge more than that. It's only rational. Now, Sam brought up a very interesting point. How does housing tied to employment work? Well, right now it works in single-family homes throughout this area, where tenants have no leases, they have no tenants' rights, and they are at the whim of their employer as to whether or not they get to stay or not. Our housing is going to be transparent. It is going to have tenants' rights. It is going to set rentals for the workers that are within the town's 130% affordable rate. They will not be thrown out, whether they disagree with their boss or not, because they will have a 3 to 6 month period of residency. That is taking what is currently the grayest of gray housing out into the light. The main point is that we will get this done and bring legal, coded, safe housing to as many businesses as possible. But understand that 47, the number of units we propose at 350, is a small number in a town that needs hundreds of units. This is far from the end of the solution. I hope it's only the beginning.
Thank you, Kirby. Mary?
I'll be first. I apologize again for speaking during the wrong time. I get nervous, so I was anxious.
okay.
I just want to say something really quickly. Actually, tenants do have rights that vest with 30 days.
Mary, you need to
As soon as you
address
become a tenant, I'm sorry, as soon as you move in somewhere, you do actually have a right as a month to month. So that is not true legally. I do want to ask the town board to see the condo prospectus. I mean, that's what they're called in the city, but here to see the declaration of what's being filed with the Attorney General's office so that you understand the terms of what you're changing. You're changing our town's law for a developer. We need to understand who the investors are, and I'm sure they're wonderful, a wonderful person, and they've been here forever, and that's wonderful, but I'd like to know who they are. And I'm sure a lot of people would, and I do think the town needs to see that offering plan before you even consider this. And I also want to say as well, there are no restrictions on reselling. So as far as we know, you could buy this for 1.2, let's say that's the number we're running with, and they can flip it a year later. The only restrictions are on the tenants and how long they can be there and what they can charge for rent. But there is no restriction on ownership and what you can flip it for. And that has been an ongoing issue for this town, is a way to create affordable housing. I believe in the advocacy of doing land leases where people can buy their homes and then they're capped to doing certain improvements. Because I know one thing for a fact, I think people want homes. They don't want to be warehoused. And I think that's really important. And I also want to say too, there's a lot of discussion with this project about we're going to put teachers in there. The school cannot own housing. And I assume the police department has the same restriction and the EMS. So there would have to be a sponsor that bought that unit and donated it to the school. Maybe that's in place, I don't know, but I think these things matter, the specifics on this. Thank you for my second run.
Thank you, Mary. We're going to first see if there's anyone else that wants to, who you guys, gentlemen, have already spoken. Anybody else want to address the board on this public hearing? Jason, I'll check with you again. Is there anyone?
Yes, we have callers on the line for this. I'll unmute the first one.
Thank you.
Caller ending 0724, you are on the air.
Yes, hi. I am specifically addressing the sixth item, the notice of public hearing to amend Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code for the creation of rent-restricted employer-sponsored housing definition and special permit standards. So I hope I could beg your indulgence because I've waited for 2.5 hours to speak.
Sorry, we need your name. We need your name for the record, please.
My name is Lorraine Bonaventura, as I said earlier, and I too live at 6 Spring Close Lane. I'm just going to beg your indulgence that I go over the 3 minutes because I've waited for 2.5 hours to speak. In 2021, when the town board authorized the purchase of 12 wooded acres at 395 Pantico Road and changed the zoning from A5 to an affordable housing overlay, we and our neighbors registered our opposition to the project that is adjacent to our homes. Despite town planners in the comprehensive plan previously recommending against the affordable housing overlay due to documented natural habitats, the project went ahead. 7 acres of the site have been cleared to prepare for a 16-unit subdivision. At that time, no meaningful or complete environmental, including any SECRA or traffic studies, were really completed. This resolution has the potential to affect the entire township. It's not only about this single project. We acknowledge the town's need for affordable housing. We are going to live next door to it already. We believe the resolution as written presents several critical issues that must be addressed to protect the interests of current homeowners, residents, and the surrounding very low density, basically year-round middle-class neighborhoods. As long-time residents of this area, we have significant concerns regarding the impact this resolution will have on our community. Specifically, the resolution is silent on the impact that a proposed 48-unit condo at 350 Pantico Road would have on the low-density neighborhoods to the immediate north and south. This proposal is a for-profit, privately funded venture that lacks transparency regarding its designation as workforce housing. The resolution's language regarding the necessity of financing structures that differ from those traditionally contemplated is an oblique reference to the for-profit nature of the proposal at 350 Pantego Road. The developer is asking the town to approve this as an affordable housing project under a new workforce housing category, yet the resolution fails to reflect that this proposal would be a privately funded for-profit venture. The resolution states that the health, safety, and welfare of adjacent property owners and other town residents are adequately protected, yet it lacks the specific provisions necessary to ensure this protection. While the resolution is proposing a new housing category of rent-restricted employer housing, the effective approval will allow the specific proposal of the for-profit, high-density condo proposal at 350 Pantego Road to proceed. Our specific following objections and concerns regarding this proposal and the resolution is the increased density. We object to the increased density of 12 units per acre proposed on the 3.9 acre site through a special permit that would allow a for-profit project disguised as affordable housing. The density should remain at 8 or fewer units per acre to provide a more open environment and addresses issues of parking, traffic, groundwater, noise, lighting, and an already congested area. The for-profit precedent. The resolution allows for-profit ventures to be classified as affordable housing. The developer has indicated that a profit could be achieved with 32 units, making the proposed 48 units excessive. At the increased density, the overall condo sales could approach upwards of $45 to $50 million. Transparency. The full identities of all the partners in the proposed condo development remain undisclosed. The town residents need to have full transparency, and so does the board, and there should be a clear history of successfully completed similar projects. Oversight. Furthermore, the potential sales of units at market rates to employers places an undue management and enforcement burden on the town. Short-term, high-turnover leases are being proposed, requiring additional supervision by town agencies. Regulations regarding leases, long-term affordability, and enforcement should be expanded upon. We are concerned that this resolution will set a precedent for similar for-profit proposals on smaller sites throughout the town, which has been noted in publications by the town and in the local newspapers, requiring further management by various town agencies to manage. In the November 2024 Town Planning Board memo advocating the code change from 8 to 12 units per acre grossly underestimates the adverse effects of the increased density. At a minimum, a comprehensive and independent traffic and density study must be required for this and all future special permit projects. Only one diagram of the proposed condo plan has been submitted that residents have been able to see. All reviews, comments, proposed changes should be made readily available for public review before any vote on such a consequential zoning change.
Lorraine, we're going to have to ask you to wrap it up. We received your comments earlier today. We're almost 3 hours in.
I have a few more comments to make. Yes, I know. So we ask that the board carefully consider the long-term impact of these zoning changes on the character environment of our overall community and our close-by communities. Where the idea of workforce housing has been discussed for several years, it has been less than 1 month to the day since this public hearing of this resolution and consequential zoning changes have been disseminated for town residents to review and register comments. We urge the town board to consider these significant issues and delay a vote to allow residents more time to thoroughly review this resolution. We also urge you to complete a new comprehensive plan that addresses the overall needs for affordable housing throughout the entire township and not only in these small areas. I thank you for your time and I thank you for your service to the community.
Thank you, Lorraine.
Unmuting the next caller.
Great, thank you.
Caller ending 3872. You're on the air.
Yes, hi, Martin Drew. Topic of my heart. it's sad to see that everyone's missing the point here. The affordable housing program was established to make owners of those people because they were the lifeblood of our community. And there are a lot of essential categories just outside the medical, teaching, police, fireman. I mean, is the essential worker group by COVID definition, or are we speaking about actual farmers, local people, fishermen? You know, myself, a skilled worker for decades who probably built a lot of your homes that you're enjoying now and trying to tell us how all to live because you want to turn us into tenants. So it's a shame that we've gone down this road. So I'm going to make it simple. I say no, a big no to this plan. And I support the people in the area who are concerned about the abuse of the area. And I'm looking at the map right now. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's the Phillips property. So last I knew, the Phillips legacy was to preserve land, not have it turned into affordable housing so developers could get rich. And I understand, you know, are we vetting all these people who are, as they're coming through with these large, big, huge plans? Have we financially vetted these people to understand who it is we're dealing with? So I say no to this, and you need a townwide comprehensive plan to establish your sending and receiving zones that establish areas for development and areas worthy of preservation. Quit playing games. It's been decades of this. You all need to get together. And you have failed our community for years and years and years and decades over affordable housing. So now you went from stripping affordable housing overlays to now you want to place it conveniently here, where I know the legacy would be to preserve that land. That's why the gentleman bought it back in the day. So tell me I'm wrong. I don't know. But I say no. And this all needs to be guided up to the airport. And last I knew, these type of programs were by lottery. No owners involved that are bringing employees for selected groups. Shame on you. No. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Martin. Jason, are there any other callers?
We have no other callers on the line at this time.
Welcome, Matthew. I'm sure you've been there all along. Okay. Sure. Welcome back, Christopher.
Thanks. So Chris Kozak from 546 Wayne Scott. Look, just listening to this discussion, my quick comment here is this kind of raises the exact concern that we have about transparency and decision-making and really what happens next. What I'm hearing here seems like another situation where once the train leaves the station, it's kind of out of control of the residents nearby. And this is, I think, is exactly the concern that a lot of us have about these types of decisions is once they happen, the train has left the station and we no longer have a say and the decisions will go where they go. So that's my only quick comment here. But, you know, thank you again for the time.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, anyone else?
Motion to close.
Second. There were two more. They wanted to come back. If you make it quick.
Everyone has to.
I'll make it so quick that all I do is ask for the acceptance of a letter following the hearing to address some of the points that were made, so we don't belabor the discussion this evening.
Are you asking to keep the record, written record open? Is that what you're
Just for a letter.
Okay.
Hold on, there's more.
Board amenable to keeping the written record open?
I'll make that decision after
Okay.
we hear.
If I may join Mr. Kelly in making that same request for a second letter. Thank you.
I also would like to.
Okay.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the public hearing and in the written record.
And the written record?
I withdraw my request.
And I'll withdraw my request.
My motion is made.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Next. Okay, Michael.
I'm still here.
Number 7.
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard in the town board meeting room, East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to consider awarding a grant in the amount of $3,171,000 from the East Hampton Town Community Housing Fund to the East Hampton Housing Authority to match a grant from New York State under the Empire State Development Pro Housing Supply Funds Program for infrastructure improvements for the East Hampton Housing Authority's middle income affordable housing development on Route 114, Town of East Hampton.
Okay, would anyone like to address the board on this matter? Katie? Katie, you're speaker number 61.
Sorry, I'm really a frequent flyer tonight. That never happens. Katie Casey, East Hampton Housing Authority. I just want to say this is an excellent opportunity to leverage funds from the state, and this is in part culmination of all of the good work of the town of East Hampton. I take it a little personally when people say, you know, the town's doing nothing, you don't build anything. It's like we really are roller skating as fast as we can here. This is it's a result of years of all hands on housing and sincere dedication to getting it done and doing the work. The town recognized that, the governor recognized that. The town has a pro-housing designation that is like an official kudos to you for doing what needs to be done to affect these changes and make these homes happen. So I hope that you will vote to accept the ESD pro-housing infrastructure and award the community housing funds, the matching funds required to qualify for this grant opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Katie. Would anyone else like to address the board on this public hearing? Jason, is there anyone on the line?
Yeah, we have two callers remaining on the line. Mr. Drew is still on the line. I'll unmute him and see if he wants to make a comment.
Oh, hello. Yes, yes, I support what you guys are doing with this public hearing. Katie Casey's always been doing good work for the affordable housing effort. I wish, I hope, I pray that she'll speak to you as colleagues and start redirecting you up to the airport where this all belongs for additional and future housing. But for what you guys are doing here, fully support it. Thank you for all your efforts.
Thank you, Martin.
All right,
Matthew,
we
is
have
there another caller?
one more caller, yep. I'm muting 0724. Caller, do you want to make comment? 0724, you're unmuted. Okay, that's all we have.
Yes, no, I think.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, caller. And they left.
Okay. All right, do I have a motion to close?
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Michael, if you could read the 8th meeting notice, please.
Please take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter can be heard, at East Hampton Town Hall, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to hear any and all persons on the following budget modifications to the community development block grant budget to allocate funds from previous projects to current and future projects in the community development budget. From East Hampton Septic Replacement to Whalebone Village ADA Rehab, $75,000. From St. Michael Senior Housing to Whalebone Village ADA Rehab, $98. From Windmill Village 1 Apartments to Windmill Village 1 Kitchen Reno, $124. From Windmill Village 1 and 2 Equipment to Windmill Village 1 Kitchen Reno, $378. Total budget modifications, $75,601.83.
Great, thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line for this public hearing?
Yeah, Mr. Drew is still on the line. I'll unmute him.
Yeah, hi, Martin Drew, Spring. Yeah, I'm glad to see you guys are addressing a lot of affordable issues and doing that type of work. So please continue on. If these projects need help and finances, please assure that it happens. We support it. I support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
We have no additional callers.
You close.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Michael, the 9th meeting notice, please.
Take notice that the town board of the town of East Hampton will hold a public hearing on May 7, 2026 pursuant to section 352 of the general municipal law of the state of New York at 6 p.m. or soon thereafter, as this matter may be heard in the Town Hall Meeting Room, Town Hall 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, to consider the town's continued lease of space at the town airport to the Federal Aviation Administration for purposes of providing space for the location of equipment, the maintenance of which is in the public interest and a benefit to both parties, said lease to expire on September 30, 2042. Such lease to be without cost to the FAA.
Thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to comment on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
Mr. Drew is on the line.
Oh, thankfully we're up at the airport. I'm not sure the specifics of this because I wasn't able to find the agenda online today so easily. So I know you guys aren't going to answer any questions. So I'll question the fact why the federal government expects it for free. I guess it's public benefit. But yeah, if it's public benefit, then I guess you have to give up the space for free to protect public interest and public benefit in the cause of safety. So kudos to protecting the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Do I have a motion?
We have no additional callers.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Michael,
Number 10.
the 10th meeting notice, please.
Please take notice that pursuant to section 247 of the general municipal law of the state of New York and provisions of the East Hampton Town Code, the town board of the town of East Hampton, New York will hold a public hearing in the town hall meeting room, 159 Panago Road, East Hampton, New York, Thursday, May 7, 2026 at 6 p.m. or as soon thereafter as this matter may be heard, concerning the following grant of scenic and conservation easement to the town of East Hampton. Grantor, estate of Margaret Hirsch, type of easement, scenic and conservation, date of easement March 11, 2026, location 16 Dune Lane, Amagansett, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-176-4-8, reviewing agency Zoning Board of Appeals.
Thank you, Michael. Would anyone like to address the board on this public hearing? Matthew, is there anyone on the line?
Yes, I'll unmute him now.
What a wonderful gift. I'd like to thank the grantor for such generosity. The only thing I would ever question in these type of situations is what happens to the tax base of the property. And do you guys consider as politicians that when we go out in the world saving the world, and I'm glad she's made this gift, but what happens to her taxes? I think they disappear. So is the community in that area, do they ever chime in on these type of gifts to know that their taxes might go up to absorb the one that we lost in the tax base? We can't keep giving our money away. But I'm glad she gave her land away. That's awesome of her. Thank the lady from me. Thank you very much. It's a kind gift of her. We appreciate her kindness. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. Do I have a motion to close?
No one else on the line, Matt?
No additional callers.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, so we're through all 10 public hearings, and you guys are great. You stuck it out. We are now up to public portion, and I've got two folks signed up. The first is Meg Gibson. Welcome, Meg.
Hi, this is my first time speaking to you publicly as a resident, a full-time resident of East Hampton Township. My blood sugar's a little low. I did not think I was going to be here this late. Anyway, I'm sorry, my name is what? Oh, thank you.
We keep going.
Dinner's in the oven when I get home. May I pass something out to you?
Sure.
This came to my attention yesterday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we need a copy. Yeah, the clerk needs a copy.
So I live in Northwest Harbor, Northwest Harbor. I'm up at the top of the hill. And yesterday, a friend of mine who is a lifeguard with Ocean Rescue gave me a copy of this report. And she gave it to me because she knows that I swim there year-round. I cold plunge in that marina that you spent $9 million for last year, and I'm really happy you bought it. I love it there. I don't have to sneak onto the property anymore. I can go there legally. I hope the Dumaneals do not come after me anymore. Anyway, you'll see where it says Sag Harbor, Little Northwest Creek, the level of high bacteria that was registered there yesterday. I've never seen anything like this in my life, and I've lived in many rural communities on the East Coast. That is so high. I did not go in the water today, and I'm concerned because there's no signs up about it. People are in the water, and this is a report for bacteria, some of which I'm not a scientist, but I understand the difference between what bacteria is from animals and what bacteria is that's hitting the water from septic systems. So my concern, and the reason why I'm here today, is because I don't know who to go to. I'm not going to just randomly call East Hampton Township and say, who do I speak to? I wanted you guys to know about it now. I think this is an emergency. This is an emergency. 218 level of bacteria when even low and sort of getting to high is 10, and Mecox Bay is 109, and Northwest Harbor is 218. This is septic systems in a marsh area that are not being monitored. And I'm asking the township to either create a committee or tell me who to go to, or at least put up a sign, because we're protecting people from taking scallops, but we're not protecting people right now, or their dogs, from swimming in water that may have levels of bacteria that I don't even know how to say them. So you can't swim here, you can't kayak here. I'll be done in one moment. There's no monitoring of where the septic systems are that are dumping into the marsh area. This is a water conservation area that belongs to the state. Can the state be involved in this? There's no home inspection of septic systems. We spent $9 million for the land, and now we can't go there and swim in it. Is this an emergency? We have Marines patrolling for poaching, but we're not paying attention to the water that people are swimming in. And this is an East Hampton Township beach I'm talking about. And I'm just asking for at least put up a sign until this is addressed by the township and we have an understanding of why this is not hyperbole, this is not hearsay, this is a legitimate test that lifeguards use. So we need to address it.
Meg,
tell me how.
If you could leave your number and your email with the clerk.
Yep.
And one of the board members will get back to you.
Thank you so much. I'm going to go have dinner.
Enjoy. Okay, Thomas Muse. Welcome, Thomas.
I've got your email address. Thank you. Thank you. Late evening. Just on a separate matter, but also water quality involves. I'll pass this out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm speaking about an issue that I just learned of, in fact, today. An application for a special use permit for a surf camp to be established at Atlantic Terrace, or which is now Moram on the beach there. The water quality issue that's very well known there. Data since 2014 shows enterococcan high levels at various times, and I know a lot of board members are familiar with this, and Kim Shaw has been working on it. But this is an application for establish a seasonal camp on a beach where I frequent. I'm a homeowner just up there. My name is Thomas Muse. I don't know if I said that. A couple of things. We do have a compromised environmental condition there. We have an untreated municipal wastewater that flows directly onto the beach. It's been tested for years, and you can see the data there. So we've already have a sort of a compromised environment. We also have a high use. We have 2 commercial properties there that have intensive use on the beach, and it has impacted neighbors, their ability to access the beach, to find space on the beach. Surf Club and Moram roll out a lot of infrastructure on the beach. So we've got an intense use already at Surfside Place, Atlantic Terrace, Moram. And now there's this proposal. I'm not sure what the status of the application is. I know it's not your board's exact preview, it's through the clerk's office, but I just really wanted to come out and speak publicly against this application. I just think it's way beyond the scope of what we can manage at the beach there. There are no public sanitary services at this location. There's no bathrooms. How could we accommodate a commercial and a third commercial use at this site with people coming and going? There's no parking spaces, so we have a parking conflict at this location, which I understand that this effort is supposed to be busing people from the yacht club. They have some kind of base at the yacht club that they're proposing. So I'm perplexed to discover the public benefit. Why would we issue this permit, and what would be the public benefit? If any of the board members could speak to what that could possibly be a public benefit, I'd be interested to know. I don't think the location's suitable. If they've been issued the permit already, and I don't know if they have been, okay, they have not been, okay, because they're already in violation of, they can't advertise. If you're in the code says if you're in a beach and you get a special use permit, there's absolutely no advertising allowed. They're already advertising. I've been sent online posts from Jamie O'Brien, Surf Experience. He's a famous surfer from Hawaii, not from Montauk, and wants to establish this camp. So I strongly want to speak out against this. I think environmentally, quality of life, the intense commercial use of this site already is beyond the pale, and I would like the board to review the application. Hopefully, if it's possible, we could speak out against that. I certainly am speaking out against it. Thank you.
Would you leave your contact information,
Sure.
Thomas, and I'll give you a call about this one.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, would anyone else like to address the board during public comment, please? Welcome.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I applaud your service, and after this, I will nominate you all for sainthood. I stuck for the whole meeting. I too live in Surfside Estates. My name is Michael Brosnan. I live at 59 Seaview Avenue in Montauk, and my wife and I both own businesses in Montauk, and we've been there for 32, 34 years now. We live right up the road from Atlantic Terrace, and obviously you guys were aware of Maram. That's been in front of your board for quite a while, and I think the neighbors have finally embraced it because it's actually been a positive change for the beach, although it's limited the space that people had. We've all gotten along, and we've learned to coexist, and the surf club now has grown, and they both come with, like as Thomas said, a lot of infrastructure, and they limit the amount of space that the residents of Surfside now have for their beach, but we're good with it. Not to crosstalk, but I'm all in favor of surf camps, just not in my backyard. We've got enough of them. Leaf, who's a local kid, runs a surf camp out of Maram, and he's really respectful about it. The break there is very small. It's a limited, it's not like ditch planes, it's not spread out. And I don't think it can fit more people. You've got people in the water. It creates a dangerous situation to have surfers now, especially a camp that's got beginner surfers in that water. I've got a friend whose son hit someone about 3 or 4 years ago at Ditch, and he's still in a lawsuit over it. I don't know what kind of insurance this new company will carry, but I, like Thomas, I oppose it, of course, but I just urge you guys to look at it and do a little bit of due diligence on it and what that beach is like in the summer at prime, because they're going to use it at prime time. Montauk Yacht Club is, they're going to monetize this, and they're going to use it July 4th weekend and all those heavy use weekends. And that water, that break cannot handle it. We could spread it out in so many different areas like Ditch that has a reef that runs from dirt lot all the way down to poles. I'm familiar with those are surf break names. That's a mile stretch of water. So I just wish that you guys, I implore you guys to look at this and maybe interview some local people and maybe put this in front of a public hearing to see if that's a valid permit to issue, because the beach is overstretched as it is, not even to mention there are no public facilities, and that just having people dropped off who are, weekenders who are going to do their thing on the beach, maybe not just do surf camp lessons, but actually enjoy the beach. It's going to tax that beach even more. So I appreciate your time. Thank you very much. Have a great night. Get some rest.
Thank you, Michael.
Would anyone else like to address the board? Matthew, is there anyone else on the line?
We have one caller on the line. I'll unmute him now.
Thank you.
A long night. Thank you all. You guys put in a lot of time. Martin, Drew, Springs. Yes, I'm going to do this as peacefully as I can. You guys know my concerns in Springs at Rita Cantina and Maidstone Park specifically. So I had the pleasure of speaking to our Madam Chairwoman, Lauren Bolger, today, and we had a great, heartfelt discussion. We always get into it deep, and she's understanding where I come from. So I'm hoping that she'll lobby Mr. Caldor Piedmont to create a Springs task force so we can talk about Springs issues. And I also hope he'll authorize a the Springs Historic District task force, because parking, overuse, it seems to be we're a very popular community lately. So I thought we had addressed this in the 3 or 4 comprehensive plans that we've taken on over the decades. So apparently this has just been political hot potatoes for many decades, many parties. And it's time you guys get a handle on all this stuff. So in Springs, I'm going to ask that you get some sort of committee together at our CAC, so the community can speak to, do we need parking behind the library next to a sensitive Pussy's Pond area? I'm not sure if it's a nature preserve or not, so I don't want to misspeak, but I know it's a sensitive area. But I know when I was talking to Spring School Issues on the other side on Spring School Street, God rest his soul, Mr. Zach Cohen fought us to make sure we didn't even park on the shoulder of the road in that area because there was sensitive land behind there. And you want to put a 35-car parking lot in a historic district of all things? Wow. Lots of things going on that need addressing in that hard look. So all due respect, you all know how I feel. You know who I've had issues with. I'll address the irregularities lawfully. Lawful redress is my new favorite word. And we can all stand accountable to things we should be respectful to. New York State law, town codes, what the neighborhood impact is when we allow all these larger projects just to grow and grow. We can't even control what we have already in place. So I'm steering you all to the airport. The airport's a godsend of land, 600 acres of that land that's already owned. And as a community, we could all get along up there, and it's not in anyone's backyard because it already is. And, the issues I was sensitive to with my looking for land for OHV and the recreational motors. So oil and asphalt and Springs, no, thank you. And please consider the fact that our sport has changed. We have electric vehicles now, and New York State allows you to give us a dedicated spot so our families can enjoy our spot, and we can have recreation opportunities in our town so we have something to do. I'm glad you all have agendas and things that you want to do, but remember, we're out here, we exist, and we need space too. So thank you for your time. You guys had a long night. Have a great night, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Martin.
Anyone else want to address the board? Okay. We are going to move on to resolutions. Tom?
Thank you, Madam Supervisor. Resolution 2026-727. This is warrant number 5A, approval of claims in amount $3,012,937.04 and $88,661.77 respectively.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 728 is a resolution to authorize an amendment to the payment processing agreement with CSG Forte. Be it resolved that the supervisor is hereby authorized to execute amendment to the agreement with Forte to extend its payment processing services to the Town Recreation Department.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
729, is a payout upon resignation for Javon Kidd. Total gross amount of $1,777.18.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I would like to make a motion to withdraw 730.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
731 is to amend Resolution 2026-1, Town Board meeting dates. This is for September 8th, 2026. This is going to be at the Montauk Library.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I just want to say what happened was they were going to have an employees' day where they have workshops and whatnot. So we were originally told that Montauk Library wasn't available, but then they made it available to us.
Thank you to them.
Yes.
732, this I referenced earlier to Kirby. This is a local law to amend Chapter 255 as it is applicable to accessory dwelling units. This changes the minimum lot size to 15,000. It changes the option for non-primary homeowners to be able to build ADUs, and it changes the parking requirements to allow for 5 parking spaces.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Let me scroll down here, folks. Sorry, it's 11. 734 is a budget modification.
733.
Sorry, there we go. Thank you. That's why. Yeah, I did. It was the hand bump, 733 is to retain D&B engineers and architects for the transportation repairs and improvements. This is in the amount, a financial impact of $241,800.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
734 is a budget modification for the sanitation department, decreasing a contingency in the amount of $1,102 and increasing outside professional in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
735 is to appoint full-time labor in the sanitation department, Ricky King. This is effective May 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
736 is to pay NYMAR deductibles for Francis Kalbacher. This is a financial impact of $2,830.75.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 737 is a notice to bidders, EH 26027. This is for roll-off containers for the sanitation department. Bid is available May 7th. Bids are due back May 28th. For more details, please contact the purchasing department office, purchasing@ehamptonny.gov, beginning on May 7th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
It's my pleasure to offer Resolution 2026-738. This is authorize the retention of the law offices of Keith Geiert, PC. This would be for the Lake Montauk project at a rate not to exceed $20,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
739 is promotion to heavy equipment operator in the Highway Department, Raymond Saar, effective May 7th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. 740 is a status change from part-time to temporary appointment for Alice Nicolai. And this would be in the Recreation Department. And this would be retroactive to April 28th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
741 is a status change from part-time to seasonal lifeguards in the Recreation Department from May 2026. This will be effective May 10th, 2026 for the names and positions listed below. And furthermore, the following employees are changed from part-time to seasonal status in the Recreation Department, also effective May 10th. Names, positions, pay rates listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
742 is appoint seasonal employees in the Recreational Department for May 2026. This is effective May 15th, 2026. Names, positions, and also pay rates listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
743 is a status change of part-time to seasonal employees in Recreation Department, May 2026. This is effective May 15th, 2026. Names and positions below. And furthermore, the following employees are changed from part-time to seasonal status following the titles and hourly rates effective May 15th, 2026. Names, positions, pay rates listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
744 is to appoint seasonal lifeguards to the Recreation Department for May 2026. This is effective May 10th, 2026. Names and positions as listed below, including one Ms. Brindley Lease. Thank you to her for her service to the town.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Flight.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Lees.
Recused.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Calder-Piedmont.
Aye.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez.
Aye.
Yay. Less out of my pocket. Okay, at 7:45.
In a way.
In a way. 7:45, authorized payments of prior year invoices to the Highway Department, invoices, dates, and amounts listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:46 is appoint seasonal custodial worker in the Parks Department, Maria Bravo, hourly rate of $23.92, effective May 10th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:47 is approved CDL license training and authorized employee attendance. This is for the town's Highway Department commercial driver's license training. We now hereby approve the training to be provided by Victor CDL Services for Jorge Torres, and the total cost of $3,000.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 748 is a budget modification for the Highway Department. This is a modification related to cost from mowing county roads, and the town will be reimbursed from the county. So we're increasing the revenue budget lines for services other government in the amount of $106,200, and they're increasing the expenditure line for subcontractor costs in the same amount.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 749 is appoint seasonal employees in the Park Department for May 2026. This will be effective May 10th, 2026. Names, positions, and pay rates listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 750 is appoint seasonal recreational specialist in the Recreation Department for May 2026, effective May 15th, 2026. Names, positions, and pay rates listed below.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 751 is appoint seasonal labor in the Parks Department. Leonardo Luna, hourly rate of $20.88, effective May 10th, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 752 is to terminate seasonal snow removal drivers in the Highway Department for the end of the season for May 2026. This will be effective retroactive to May 15th, 2026 of the names and positions listed below.
Second.
Sorry, April 15th, not May.
I apologize, you're right, April 15th, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 753 is an accept resignation of a part-time heavy equipment operator, Richard Hamilton, retroactive to March 1st, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 754 is appoint seasonal labor in the Parks Department, Max Lawler, the hourly rate of $22.88, effective May 10th, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 755 is appoint seasonal labor in the Parks Department, Pedro Suqui, at the hourly rate of $22.88, effective May 11th, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 756 is a notice of public hearing for water quality grant award for round 1 2026 to 51 North Main Street. It's an IA system upgrade. We will be having this public hearing on May 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 757 is the reject bid EH26-021. This is the Fred Thiel Recreation Facility Mobile Food Concession.
Second. All in favor?
Just a comment on this one. I wouldn't mind trying this is the second time that we've looked for a vendor for this recreational facility. It's a heavily used recreational facility. Kathy, you mentioned it. I hear from parents. A food provider would be great. We like ice cream, but we also like nutritional food too. I wouldn't mind trying to cast a wider net and bringing this back to the board. If they don't mind, I'll talk to Jeannie about that also then too. We'll continue on it then too.
I'm just wondering if perhaps advertising this in a different publication might be appropriate.
That's right, a wider net, exactly right. Okay, moving on, I would like to make a motion to withdraw Resolution 2026-758.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 2026-759, this is set bid EH26-010. This is the on-call window repair and replacement contract to Ronald Webb Builder LLC.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 760 is a notice of bidders for EH26-028. This is the purchase and delivery of personal watercraft. The bid is available May 7th, 2026. The bid is due back May 28th, 2026. Please contact the purchasing department 631-324-4183 for further information.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 761 is a notice of bidders for EH 26-029. This is for the Fort Hill Cemetery interments and maintenance contract. The bid is available 5/14/26. The bid is due back 6/4/26. Please also contact the purchasing department for further information.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 762, this is accept a proposal from Land Tech Group LLC for the Fred Thiel Facilities Upgrade. This comes off the Sports Courts Construction Resurfacing Requirements Contract. This will be for 8 pickleball courts and also a basketball court in the amount of $787,175.25.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
It's exciting.
Yeah, it should be. I've heard a couple of good things, even out of Montauk today about it. 763, accept bid EH 26-029. This is for a surf rake for the Parks Department to H. Barber and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $83,291.10. Less $13,000 for a trade-in for the 2014 rake. Nice job, Steve. Brian. So the total amount is $70,291.10.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 764, secret determination for a bond resolution for drainage, and we are considering this bond upcoming, and this will be classified as a type 2 action, and no environmental analysis is proposed.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. Sorry, required. 765 is a bond for $300,000 for drainage improvements, and the PPU on this is
40 years.
5 years for this.
Second.
Roll call.
It says 40.
Oh, so hold on one second, everyone.
Okay.
Sorry, that's maturity of the bonds. Yes, sorry, the PPU, you're correct, Madam Supervisor. 40 years.
Second at 40. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Flight.
Aye.
Deputy Supervisor Lease.
Aye.
Councilmember Rogers.
Aye.
Councilmember Calder Piedmont.
Aye.
Supervisor Burke Gonzalez.
Aye.
766, extend the contract for EH-SAG 24-901. This is for HVAC repairs, service installation to Best Climate Control Corporation. This will be effective August 1st, 2026 through July 31st, 2026.
It's 2027?
2027.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye. 767 is a notice for public hearing for Water Quality Grant Award Round 1, 2026 to the NAPP Camping Club. The proposed projects for the NAPP Camping Club. This is a wastewater treatment improvement. The proposed funding is $469,430, and the public hearing will be held on May 21st, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye. 768 is a notice of public hearing for Water Quality Grant Awards, Round 1, 2026. This is for Treescape 11B for IA septic installation. The project type is a wastewater treatment project. The funding, proposed funding award is $416,280. The public hearing also will be held on May 21st, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
769 is a notice of public hearing for Water Quality Grant Award Round 1, 2026 for Marina Vasalia LLC. This again is for a wastewater treatment improvement located at 2095 Montauk Highway. And the funding award would be, proposed funding award would be $300,000. And again, this will be coming on a public hearing for May 21st, 2026.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
770 is a notice of public hearing for Water Quality Grant Awards, Round 1, 2026 to the New York State Cornell Center for Clean Water for our Wainscott Pond PRB. Again, it's a non-point source pollution abatement for groundwater treatment. The proposed funding award is $309,529. The public hearing also will be held on May 21st, 2026.
Second. All in favor? Aye.
771 is a notice of public hearing for Water Quality Grant Award Round 1, 2026 for this Clear Bays Environmental. This is for a permeable reactive barrier monitoring in Accabonac Harbor watershed. And this again will be a non-point source pollution abatement groundwater treatment. Proposed funding award is $49,750. Again, the public hearing will be held on May 21st, 2026.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are you done?
I am.
Okay. I have Resolution 772, which is a list appointment from provisional to planner for Christopher Stoker. Resolved that Christopher Stoker is hereby appointed to the position of planner with the planning department and no change in hourly rate or budget account, effective retroactive to April 17th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to amend this one as I read it. This is Resolution 773, a list appointment to office assistant for Charmaine Daniels. Resolved that Charmaine Daniels is hereby appointed to the full-time position of office assistant, and it should read with the building department, remove the word inspector, at the hourly rate of $27.49, which is $57,173.79 annually for a 40-hour work week, effective retroactive to May 4th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 774 is a local law, a local law to amend Chapter 255 zoning of the East Hampton Town Code to modify the building permit requirements applicable to personal wireless facilities. We held the public hearing on March 5th regarding this local law. The town board has considered the comments of all persons regarding this local law as submitted. The Suffolk County Planning Commission, the matter was referred to the Suffolk County Planning Commission and by letter dated April 9th, and the Planning Commission found this matter to be for local determination. The action is classified as a type 2 action pursuant to SECRA and Chapter 128 of the Town Code, necessitating no further environmental review. Resolved that the local law is hereby enacted, and the following is the total code.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 775 is a budget modification in the building department. This is regarding costs related to office relocation, decreasing full-time salaries in the amount of $7,465 and health benefits buyback in the amount of $3,035, and we're increasing the budget line for office expense in the amount of $10,500.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 776 is to retain John Amarantano Esquire and the law firm of Farrell Fritz in the matter of Julian J. Mroziski III versus ZBA 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. 777 is a payout upon resignation for Brandon Gabbard. The total amount of the payout is $1,467.91.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 778 is to appoint provisional building plans examiner Paul Eisenberg. Resolved that Paul Eisenberg is appointed on a provisional basis to the full-time position of building plans examiner with the building department at the hourly rate of $35.37, which is $73,569.39 for a 40-hour work week, effective June 1st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 779 is a list appointment from provisional to principal planner for Sarah Lewis. Resolved that Sarah Lewis is hereby permanently appointed to the position of principal planner with the planning department at no change in hourly rate or budget account, effective retroactive to April 29, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 780 is a list appointment from provisional to assistant planning director for Brian Frank. Resolved that Brian is hereby permanently appointed to the position of assistant town planning director with the planning department at no change in hourly rate or budget amount, retroactive to April 29th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Resolution 781 is to amend Resolution 2026-421, granting a military leave to Jacob Sutherland, whereas Resolution 2026-421, Jacob Sutherland was granted paid military leave per New York State military law, whereas Mr. Sutherland's dates of ordered military duty has changed now. Therefore, be it resolved that the Finance Department is hereby authorized to cut a check through payroll issued to Jacob Sutherland to include the dates May 4th through May 21st, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Jake is in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, serving our country.
Resolution 782, this is to approve a change order for Nelson and Pope for the Camp Hero wastewater engineering. This is for upgrades of the Camp Hero wastewater system for additional services of bidding and construction support in an amount not to exceed $49,630 for a total project cost of $135,641.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution 783, this is to retain a stenographer service for a jury trial in the amount of $550 per diem.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Resolution 784, this is to schedule a public hearing notice. Schedule public hearing notice. There's a little bit of a typo here.
Yeah.
Just, Michael, if you could change the name here. Schedule public hearing, scratch notice of public hearing. So schedule public hearing to amend Town Code Chapter 182 Nature Preserves to add former Maloney properties, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-63-3-24.2 and 24.4, and former Downs property, Suffolk County Tax Map 300-63-3-9.2. The public hearing will be held on May 21st at 6 p.m.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Resolution 785, this is to authorize reimbursement for fingerprints for Jennifer Salcedo in the amount of $92.50.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Resolution 786, this is to approve Eastern Environmental for work at 54 Tub Oarsman for additional remediation in the amount of $8,675.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have Resolution 2026-787, and this is a secret determination to classify action, assume role of lead agency, and adopt a negative declaration pursuant to secret for the proposed Star Island dredging project.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
788 is a budget modification for the airport for the purchase of personal protective equipment for department staff. We're decreasing outside professional in the amount of $800 and increasing uniforms in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
789 is a drone certification reimbursement for police officer William Hamilton and police officer Robert Cania at a cost not to exceed $175 per test.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
790 is to authorize a payment for a past due invoice for Farrell Fritz for calendar year 2025. The financial impact is $10,438.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
791 is a Lexipol agreement for 2026. This is for the East Hampton Town Police Department at the cost of $21,538.01.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
792 is a provisional appointment to Town Intergovernmental Relations Coordinator for Nicole Fastido. The annual salary is $95,158.44 for a 40-hour work week effective May 11th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
793 is a budget modification for the police department for additional uniform costs for new probationary police officers. We're decreasing full-time salaries in the amount of $9,300 and increasing PD clothing, cleaning allowance in the same amount.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
794 is the appropriation of capital reserve funds for building capital improvements. This is subject to permissive referendum for the costs related to capital improvements for the shade shelters at Montauk Skate Park and the Fred W. Thiel Jr. Recreational Facility. And this is in the amount of $16,823.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
795 is to amend Resolution 2025-508. This is for Officer Tyler Gilbride and Officer Jack Borey to attend training at the New York Tactical Officers Association in an amount not to exceed $4,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
796 is to authorize payment to W.W. Granger in the amount of $227.88.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
797 is a status change from part-time to seasonal harbor masters in Marine Patrol for May 2026. Names and titles listed below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
798 is a provisional appointment to full-time traffic control specialist for Patrick Brabant Jr. His annual salary is $58,593.39, effective May 10th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
799 is to appoint seasonal traffic control officers with the East Hampton Town Police Department. Names, titles, and rates below.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
800 is a payout upon resignation for Nicholas Sa Pacheco, and he has resigned from his full-time position as traffic control specialist with the police department effective April 4th. He has a total gross payout of $8,332.99.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
801 is a payout upon retirement for Darlene Semlier for the gross total of $44,862.16, and that's the final payout, and we just want to thank Darlene for her many years of dedicated service to our community.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
802 is the completion of probationary period for police officers Micah Jones, Brian Orimuno, and Austin Guanga. They have successfully completed their probationary period of 18 months in evaluation and training, and now will be permanently appointed to the positions of police officer, effective retroactive to February 19th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. 803 is to revise the 2026 salary for Assistant Town Attorney Alexandra Vecchio to $110,000.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
804 is a notice to bidders, EH 26-026, printing of miscellaneous forms, and the bid is available May 7th and due back May 28th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
805 is to appoint student intern 2 to the town supervisor's office, Jonathan Lopez, at the hourly rate of $21, effective May 11th through August 14th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
806 is to reject bid EH 26-018, printing of miscellaneous forms, March 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
807 is to extend contract EH 24-014, printing of envelopes and business cards, Check-O-Matic, Ridgewood Press, and Concept Print.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
808 is to extend contract EH 24-017, printing of miscellaneous forms, Ridgewood Press.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
809 is to accept a proposal for professional engineering services related to runway 1028. It's a joint and crack sealing and repair at the East Hampton Town Airport. This is with JKL Engineers, and at a total cost to the town not to exceed $39,830, and this will come out of airport outside professional. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
810 is to accept proposal for professional engineering services for aviation fuel farm, control panel, corrective improvements. This was with LK McLean Associates at a total cost not to exceed $29,500, and this is coming from the HA fund for the fuel farm.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
811 is to accept proposal for professional engineering services related to the fuel farm generator installation. This is with LK McLean Associates at a total cost of the town not to exceed $20,400, and this will come from the airport outside professional. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
812 is to accept proposal for the aviation fuel farm tank repitching and fuel system air intrusion mitigation. This is with LK McLean at a total cost to the town not to exceed $39,500, and this will come from the HA fund for the fuel farm. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
813 is to appoint part-time assistant town attorney Dennis Brown at the hourly rate of $90.75 effective May 13th. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
814 is to accept proposal for professional engineering services related to the repair of runway 1634 at the East Hampton Town Airport. This is with JKL Engineers at a total cost of the town not to exceed $244,330, and this will be paid from airport outside professional. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I think that's everything. We're there.
Motion to close.
Second. All in favor? Aye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you for waiting till the very end. And
Yeah, look at that.
to Jason and Matthew, thank you for handling everything so professionally this
You
evening.
got
And
it.
those chairs are comfortable. All right. Have a
Good
good night.